Afadhali mzee ambaye ni mtulivu, ambaye hana haja ya kujaza mifuko yake, ambaye atachunga masilahi ya watu yake, badala ya mdomo tamtamu 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 tamtamu. Lakini akiingia ni wale wa kufanya moja yako, nusu ya mwananchi, mbili yako na tano yangu. Na mnawajua nyinyi
kutafuta uongozi kwa kutumia dini au kutumia kabila, unagawa watu. Kazi ya uongozi ni kujenga watu wawe kitu kimoja.
The 2.2 billion has been spent in the office of the President and State House between July and September. If you do that calculation, it means that we spend in that office 23 million per day and 1 million per hour. That cannot be sustainable.
Sisi vile sio wote ambao wanataka ugomvi kwa sababu ya ugomvi.
Niwaambia nyinyi ni wajinga mkimfuata Ruto. Mkadhani tunawadanganya.
Jeti ya Ruto. Hii maisha ya Ruto ni stress na ni stress.
Mungu, wewe umetukosea.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're glad you're watching. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candid Talk, open forum political discussion show. The show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, it appears that William Ruto is not sitting pretty anymore. One of the bedrock of the William Ruto politics is the church. But now the church is up in arms against his administration. And the Catholic bishops could not hold back anymore. They had a presser today. And in the presser, they named all that needs to be addressed by the William Ruto's administration, expressing their disappointment on the things that are falling apart under the William Ruto administration. Well, is this the end of William Ruto's relationship with the church? Has the church now woken up from their slumber and rose up to their responsibility of keeping the society in check and ensuring that the narrow path is followed? The William Ruto administration is accused of lies to the public, is accused of the rising insecurity, the abductions, the extrajudicial killings, the killings to our sisters, our mothers, and our relatives. There is something out of joint with the Ruto administration that needs to be fixed in good time. It is said, as teaching time saves 9, William Ruto administration seems not to be learning anything from the same. And so even after the bishops calling him to order and his administration, his spokesman, and of course his attack dogs were up in arms against the bishops, claiming that the bishops are playing the tribal card and there is nothing wrong with the Ruto administration. And they compared the Ruto administration to the Uhuru administration, comparing that the lives that are being lost cannot be compared to the bodies that were floating in River Yala during Uhuru Kenyatta's administration. I don't understand what is going on with William Ruto and his administration. Their thinking is twisted, and in my opinion, they don't know what they are doing. And if they do, what they are doing has nothing to do with Kenyans, but everything to do with themselves. I call you to be forthright tonight, even as we begin to engage on this matter, that we will be able to explore exactly where we are, what we ought to do to get to where we are going. While that is going on, the opposition leadership has been vocal again in calling this administration to order. And they are saying they have no doubt that this administration is deliberately destroying the education system. And it is not an issue of financial crisis. It is not an issue of not having enough resources. It is becoming clear that it is the joy of this Ruto administration to destroy our education and put at risk the future of our children. I don't know what is your take on the same. We'll be exploring that line of thought also, even as we look at different Kenyans expressing themselves and their disappointments about the Ruto regime and what is going down. While that is going on, there is another twist to the same. The cabinet is out to defend the administration. And one of the alarming reality that came from the mouth of the cabinet is that the economy is doing very well. And Kenyans need to appreciate the effort that the government is doing in helping the economy stay afloat. I have no words for them. Well, I appreciate every one of you as you join from wherever you are. Please make sure that you're on the forefront to be an extension of what you're doing right here, right where you are. Apologies for coming in late. We had a crisis in our studio. You can tell we are not in the usual setting, and it's because we've been trying to sort out that crisis that time ran, so we decided to come as we are and sort the problem later. But I believe you can get me, and you can confirm where you're watching from and whether you can get me loud and clear, or there is something we need to do from our end. But all in all, I believe there is what we can do as a people to secure our country. What is going on, some of it is new, some of it is not new. But one thing is sure, Kenyans have the answer to what is happening. Kenyans have to rise to the occasion and do what they must do in securing their country. I appreciate every one of you as you join from wherever you are. Please ensure that you don't watch the show alone. Invite someone, call someone, wake them up, let them be here. Let us engage from wherever we are in doing what we must do, and that is secure this country completely. I want to salute all of you as you join. Thank you so much, Green. Thank you so much, John Dida. Thank you, Dahi Abdi. Thank you so much, Talia Bless. I appreciate your presence. William Adilo, asante sana kwa kufika. Felistas Makungu. I salute the bishops. They have hit the nail on the head. The church should now learn from this regime. Should now what? Learn from this regime and stop engaging in the election and be partisan. Okay, maoni yake huyo anaitwa Felistas, anasema masomo hayo church inapaswa kujifunza. Thank you. Shadizo TV Extra is also joining us. Now, I need everyone to ensure that you are doing what you must do, and that is invite somebody to be part and parcel of this great conversation. And we'll be beginning. Appreciate Mama is already here. If you're coming in the studio, the link is already in the comment section. Click on it, allow StreamYard to configure for you the camera as well as the audio, and you will be in this space for us to get talking. We need to look at what is happening and what we must do. We are live on Sound Candy Talk YouTube channel, Sound Candy Talk live YouTube channel, and Facebook. We are on Ngozi M. Bernard Facebook page. If you are looking for us, please make sure that you find us on those particular platforms. We are also on TikTok, Sound Candy Talk. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for those likes. Thank you for the giftings. Please, let's keep at it. Invite somebody, share the live widely, get more people to come in and be part of this great conversation. So let's start with that praise by the bishops on the state of manenos in this country and why the William Ruto administration seems not to be reading from the same script. They live in their bubble and they think everybody can fit into the same. But let's listen out to the clerics. Then from there, we can start breaking down the conversation and look keenly on what is and what should be. Asante sana. Let's hear this and then we begin to discuss.
Ameitisha maaskofu, tusikie wanasemaje, tuendelee na mada yetu.
We continue to pray for peace and stability within our borders and for our brothers and sisters living in unstable environments in many parts of the world. Issues of concern. We, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, feel compelled to voice our grave concerns regarding the troubling political climate that has gripped our country. We have made clear statements many times in the recent past with very little response from the government. Despite the calmness we are experiencing, there is a lot of anxiety and most people are losing trust in the government. Consequently, we raise these important observations and concerns that should be addressed. The first, political wrangles. The political wrangles in the government have generated unwanted tensions and deepened divisions among our people. Further, it has created an environment of mistrust among the citizens and within the government itself. Number two, corruption and politics of self-interest. The elected leaders have been mandated to fulfill roles conferred to them by the Constitution. They are among the highest paid legislators in the world. We are troubled by their heightened insensitivity and irresponsibility in carrying out their tasks, allowing themselves to be captured and compromised in corrupt deals. Corruption may not always involve financial benefits, but the unjust use of position and authority or abuse of office. The massive greed we are witnessing is shocking and heartbreaking. The violation of human rights and freedom of speech. We are appalled by the blatant recurring incidents of reported abductions, disappearances, torture, and killings of Kenyans. We also decry the increasing murder of women. This has caused great consternation, anger, and disgust. Many families are still grappling with the loss of their children who were brutally killed, injured, or went missing following what is referred to as the Gen Z demonstrations in June 2024. Many of these victims had raised concerns about rampant corruption within and outside the government. Who is abducting these people? And is the government unable to stop these abductions and killings? The government must protect the life of every human person in Kenya, as stipulated in our Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, Article 26. The government must take the lead in following the law, which the leadership took an oath to uphold and defend at all times.
Culture of lies, NHIF, unkept promises, and misplaced priorities. The culture of lies is swiftly replacing the integrity and respect that Kenyans deserve. Basically, it seems that truth does not exist, and if it does, it's only what the government says. Unfortunately, it seems that the Kenyans have helplessly tolerated the lies told to them constantly by politicians. Kenyans must learn not to applaud or validate the lies that the politicians tell them, but rather must resolve to seek and be led by the truth. When the government fails to fulfill its promises, particularly concerning payments to essential service providers, it harms vulnerable communities. This is the case with NHIF. The neglect of faith-based organizations, hospitals, now owed billions in dues, is an issue we have addressed constantly, even with the president. We recall the pertinent and resolved issues we have raised recently with the government: over taxation of Kenyans, the hiking of the missionary work permits, youth unemployment, regulations of the education system, especially the CBC and university loan scheme, the failure to constitute the IEBC, etc. We believe that genuine consultation of all concerned stakeholders in all these matters is necessary beyond the casual public participation. This culture of lies, unkept promises, and misplaced priorities is unacceptable and needs to be dealt with. Selfish agenda to extend the term of elected leaders. It is baffling that a bill proposing an extension of the 5-year term to 7 years is being considered, and apparently there are plans to rush it through the legislative system. A two-term limit of 10 years, as given by the current constitution, is ample time for any visionary political leader to leave a strong legacy if they perform. We need to critically scrutinize this political move. We question the motivation behind this agenda and the long-term interests it serves. We strongly condemn this retrogressive and manipulative thinking. Let us not create problems where there are none. We have matters of national concern, such as the crumbling CBC education system, health care services, reconstitution of the IEBC, a huge block of educated but unemployed youth, and fighting the monster of corruption, among others, that are surely top priorities. Overtaxing Kenyans. We all know that the government raises its revenue primarily through taxes. Our problem is that Kenyans are being unreasonably overtaxed by the continued myriad of new tax regimes that are constantly emerging from day to day. It seems to be a hidden way of reintroducing the rejected Finance Bill 2024. We must listen keenly to the cry of the Kenyan people. The current tax regime is already prohibitive and burdensome. As Catholic bishops, we have many times reminded the government of the need to put to good use all the collected revenue and live within its means.
Conclusion. We thank God for holding our country together despite the political and social upheavals. We pray that our leaders, guided by the values of justice, mercy, humility, selflessness, and honesty, provide good leadership and governance to our nation in accordance with God's will. What does the Lord God require of us and our leadership? As the prophet Micah says, I quote, "You have been told, O mortal man, what is good, and what the Lord requires of you, only to do justice, and to love goodness, and to walk humbly with your God." End of quotation from Micah chapter 6, verse 8. We invite all Kenyans and all people of faith to prayer, especially when we see that the tentacles of evil seem to be seizing our nation. We also invite our fellow Catholics, as we prepare for the Jubilee year of 2025, to pray for our country as pilgrims of hope. We are called to work together, always keeping our gaze at the risen Christ with hope. This statement has been signed by me as the chair of the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, Archbishop Maurice Muhatia Makumba, and present in this are all the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops members. That is Most Reverend Anthony Muheria, the Vice Chairperson, Archbishop of Nyeri, Apostolic Administrator of Embu, Most Reverend Martin Kivuva Msonde, Archbishop of Mombasa, Most Reverend Philip Anyolo, Most Reverend Martin Kivuva Msonde, Archbishop of Mombasa, Most Reverend Philip Anyolo, Archbishop of Nairobi, Right Reverend Joseph Mairura Okemwa.
Na bila shaka maaskofu wa Katoliki wakiyazungumza
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are glad you're watching. Thank you so much for keeping at Sound Candid Talk. That is a full statement given by the bishops raising those pertinent questions about the Ruto administration and what is not doing in terms of ensuring that the plight of the majority of Kenyans are addressed conclusively. Mama Selina, habari ya leo?
Benat. Sasa.
Yes.
Asante
Karibu,
sana.
what do you make of what our bishops have said?
That is what is, I'm wondering, it is 2 years on the line. Walikuwa wapi Benat? Are these things happening now? Wameamuka wakaona Kenya mambo iko si mzuri. That is why tulisema makanisa ya light, ingawa Catholic hawakuwa pamoja na yale mambo ilikuwa inaendelea kwa makanisa, but they were part of it. Hawakusimama tena, hawakutupatia msimamo. Now abduction is there. Maombi sijui itasaidia nini. kwa sababu they need to tell us way forward, Bernard. Na mnasema ni serikali ni waongo, ni wakora, na nyinyi mlipiga kura, amukutuambia ya kwamba the leaders. So for me, ingawa wameongea kuhusu kanisa ya Catholic, tunataka msimamo. I wanted to hear them saying tutoke nje, twende maandamano, tutoe hii serikali. So tunaomba kusema nini, Bernard? What is the prayers? Ama si kusikia vizuri, because I thought kama kuna kitu unataka kutuombea. Tunaombea nini? Corruption? Tunaomba kutoa serikali? Tunaomba kufanya nini? They want to come out kufanya nini? Tunataka for ile mambo imepaki sasa kwa Kenya ni solution. We want solution, Bernard. Ni nini? Kama ni kutoa hii serikali tutoe, kama ni kwenda maandamano kama kanisa, mafathers vile wamefaa, watangulie tuone kama watapikwa tear gas basi. Lakini kutuambia bure, Bernard, haisaidii. Hawezi kutuambia tunaenda pinguni na utuombee tuokoke. Thank you.
Sawa sawa. Kwangu mimi sinaona na wanapatia ushauri kwa rais na viongozi wawajibike katika kushughulikia matatizo ya Wakenya, sio kuendelea kuwapatia ahadi na kuendelea kuwatosa ushuru ili hali hawatekelezi wajibu wa kuhakikisha kwamba afya ya Wakenya inahudumiwa, masomo ya Wakenya inahudumiwa. So wanapeana ushauri kama viongozi wa roho wa dini, if you could use that. Okay. Ma'am, if you have a response you can give ama to Shadizo naye aulize.
Niseme tu moja. Hiyo anasema anapeana shauri. Unapeana shauri saa ile shamba ulipanda mahindi, kaweka marakwe ndani, ng'ombe ikakuja sikakula, ama wanyama ya msituni sikakula, Bernard, imeisha. Unakuja unamwambia mwenye shamba, nataka tuwe na shauri ya kufanya nini? Already mahindi, kila kitu uliweka kwa shamba imeisha. Anakuletea kukulimia, kulete mbolea, kulete mahindi ama marakwe kupanda, and the season, is it raining or not raining? So hawezi kuja kusema wanaambia. It is too late. For me it is too late. We need action, not atutaki kanisa elect waongee na leaders. Tunataka kanisa itupatiwe chawafu. Sisi wa Kristo wale tumeumia, sisi wa Kenya wale tumenyanyaswa. Mambo ya NHIF unatuambia sisi tutafanya nini? You are telling them, waliweka masikio yao pamba. They don't listen. So what next? Thank you.
Okay, sawa, asante mami. So watoe mwelekeo ambao unaeleweka, wala sio kutuita twende kuomba. Haya, Shadizo, maskofu wamesema, wewe unasemaje?
Okay, natumai unanipata. Okay, mimi ningependa kuchangia kusema hivi. Kwanza mimi maaskofu wanaweza sema kwamba hao ndio walituingiza kwa ile mfumo wa kusema kwamba tume kanisa. Wakasahau kwamba kanisa ni ya Mungu, Mungu mwenyewe ndiye anaweza tetea kanisa peke yake. Tulitaka rais ambaye ni wa kanisa.
Sorry, kunaonekana kuna itilafu ya mitambo hapo. Kirejea atachangia masuala yake. Now, I want us to quickly look at the things that the bishops raised, and then we will be switching gears. Okay.
Afadhali mzee ambaye ni mtulivu ambaye hana haja ya kujaza mifuko yake, ambaye atachunga masilahi ya watu yake.
Nimechelewa. Okay, samahani. Well, yes, Shadiza, I hope you are now sorted. Ulikuwa unasemaje? Tukusikia vizuri.
Okay, I think you are getting me.
That's better.
Good. Mimi ningependa tu kusema kwamba kanisa imeletwa mambo ya siasa na kanisa sahihi. Kanisa ndio imechangia mahali pakubwa ambapo penye wanasiasa wapo sahihi. Nikaona kwamba wanasiasa wameconvert kwamba kanisa kuwa mahali ambapo wanaenda kumiliki. Kwanza wanamiliki wa kutumia ushuru wa wananchi, ambapo tutafanya harambee. Kwa kufanikisha hiyo harambee, tutaita watu, tutaita nini? Kiongozi akuje. Kisha akishakuja, wanaona kwamba tuko na uwezo na ama tuko na nafasi, kwa sababu kiongozi amefanya nini? Amekuja kwa kanisa letu, ametutolea pesa. Kiongozi naye anasema okay, juu nimewapa pesa, nyinyi wote mmekuja nini? Mmekuja chini ya hema yangu. Ndipo unaona sasa hivi viongozi wa kanisa wanatokea kusema kwamba serikali inafanya vibaya. Juu unaona anaweka wazi kwamba hata wale vijana ambao wamekuwa wakipotea kwa sababu ya kusimama kinyume na mapenzi ama kinyume na mtazamo wa serikali, ni kwamba hilo swala limekuwa likiendelea, na wakiuliza serikali inasema sio wao. Na unaona kwamba hapo vijana wanasema wanaabductiwa na watu ambao ni wa serikali. Mimi kwamba kuna jambo ambalo limekuwa likiendelea zaidi, hata kama kanisa inasimama sasa kutokeza, wamekuwa chini ya serikali. Kwa sababu ni kwamba mimi nikitaka kuwa Bernard hapo chini yangu, nitafanya kitu yoyote ili afanye nini? Ili uwe chini yangu. Lazima nikuwe na kitu ambacho nikielekeza watu, naambia watu kwamba mimi ndo mwenye hii, na wewe ukinikwambia okay, wanasema kumbuka nilikutolea milioni 2, hakuna kitu utaongea. Lakini sasa hata kanisa ikijitokeza kuongea, kwanza ndio imeleta mchechemuo, lakini already mambo isharibika. So ni wakati ambapo inafaa tuangalie kanisa tuwaulize maswali zaidi kwamba kabla hii mambo yote itokee walikuwa wapi? Kabla wamfanye uamuzi wote ndio wakuja kusema sasa wanajenga conference. Watu waliandamana karibu 3 months down the line. Sasa ndio mnatokea sasa kusema kwamba watoto waliabductiwa. Ni kitu wenye bado inaendelea mpaka sasa hii. Walikuwa wapi? So mimi nataka tu mnieleze, mnisaidie kuelewa kwamba hii yote ikitokea, hao viongozi ambao wanasema ni viongozi wa kanisa walikuwa wapi? Na kama kweli ni viongozi wa kanisa, si wajukumike kama vile kanisa inajukumika? Wacha niachie hapo kwa saa hii.
Kivipi? Unajua nyinyi mna nini? Kanisa limedai kwamba limeongea na kuendelea kuongea, lakini serikali haisikii. Ndio wamefikia hiyo kiwango cha kusema kile ambacho wamesema. Si eti wamezungumza mara ya kwanza sasa. Wanasema serikali ni kama inataka kubadilisha utamaduni wetu, our culture, waingize uongo kama sehemu moja ya our culture. So katika hiyo statement yao, au hawasemi kwamba ndio wanazungumza sahi ama ndio macho yao imefunguka wakaona maovu. Wasema wamezungumza haya maovu all along. But the government is giving them a deaf ear. That's why they are speaking it out. How true is that from your perspective? And if the government is giving them a deaf ear, what else do you want them to do?
Hawa ni viongozi waheshimiwa kushinda hata mapresident, kwa sababu hawa ni watu wa Mungu. Na kama wameongea hiyo mambo na serikali hawasikii, wakati ya kina Njoya, wakati ya kina tulikuwa na mapatri wale wa zamani, walikuwa wanatoka nje kama serikali ya Moi imeenda kando, walikuwa nakuja Uhuru Backpanet, walikuwa na lead wananchi wakikataa maovu ikitendeka.
Mami, inaonekana itilafu ya mitambo.
Okay.
Rekebisha tafadhali. There is a problem with your net. We didn't get what you said.
Unanisikia?
Naomba urefresh ndio urudi mami. Hatukupati. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Shadizo. Kama serikali kanisa limepasa sauti na serikali isikii, mnataka kanisa lifanye nini?
Mimi nitasema hivi, sio ati wanataka kwamba ama wanasema serikali imebadilisha culture. Unakumbuka hivi majuzi kumekuwa na ile mfumo ambao walisema kwamba kuna climate change. Nakumbuka wakisema kuna climate change, hawakuweka kwa mapana kwamba climate change inamaanisha nini. Ukuliza hao viongozi wa kanisa ambao walienda hata huko kuongelea mambo ya climate change, hawakujua ni nini ambacho wanajadiliana, hawakujua ni nini kinazungumziwa pale. Sasa kuna mambo mengi yamekuwa yakienda, yamekuwa kiwapita. Sasa ndio wanaamuka, wanaona kwamba like tukiamuka saa hii ndivyo tutabadilisha kitu. Climate change ilipita. Uliza huyo kiongozi wa kanisa ambaye amesema kwamba kunaletewa nini ya kwingine ama tunaletewa regime ya uongo. Ulize climate change ambao walienda kusherekea ile usiku mpaka wakajenga holiday kubwa, ilikuwa ya nini? Haelewi. Unaona, sasa hapo ndo pale tunaanzia, shida zetu zinaanzia kama Wakenya, kwamba tunakaa alafu ambapo kitu kinatokea ndo tunaamuka sasa. Na kwanza hii nimeiona na viongozi wa kanisa sana. Wacha nilete controversial kidogo. Najua wachungaji watanichukia, lakini wacha leo tuongee ukweli. Ukiangalia hapo nyuma, makanisa zimekuwa yakitoka yanajenga mashule, kanisa zinajenga hospitali. Tuangalie tu sasa hivi ama kwa huu mwaka tangu uanze, kanisa ngapi zimejenga shule? Kanisa ngapi imejenga hospitali? Kenya mzima ni kanisa moja peke yake imejenga shule mwaka huu. Hakuna shule nyingine imejengwa na kanisa ama hospitali ambayo imejengwa na kanisa mwaka huu tangu mwaka uanze. Hao ndio wanasema kwamba vijana hawana kazi, hao vijana wanakuja kanisani. Kama wangekuwa wamejenga hiyo shule, hao vijana wangekosa kazi kwa shule. Tuanzie hapo kwa wao wanasema serikali inachangia nini?
So wewe unasema kanisa litengeneze ajira kwa ajili ya vijana, isiulize serikali kuwajibika kutengeneza ajira kwa ajili ya vijana?
Kwanza kanisa iwajibike kwanza. Kuna juzi
inawajibika kwa kupoint makosa.
Penat.
Hapana, wanawajibika vibaya.
Sawa.
Kwa kwanza wamengoja mambo imaribika ndio wanasema.
Ninyi mwanzo mlisema tuwapatie muda, tuwapatie time. Okay? Ni wageni kwa serikali, wamekuja tu. Sasa wanahitaji muda ndio wajipange, ndio kazi ifanye. Sasa wamekaa ofisi mwaka wa pili, lakini story ni ile ile. Serikali ya Uhuru haikufanya hii, serikali ya Uhuru ilifanya ile, serikali ya Uhuru ilifanya hii. So itakuwa ni kulaumu serikali ya Uhuru ama kuwajibika katika ofisi na kutekeleza wajibu wako kama wewe ndio current president?
Penat, makanisa, yes. Hawa ndio waliambia wa Kenya hii serikali ni ya Mungu na wanahitaji time. Hiyo ni mambo ya kanisa. Mambo ya kanisa, Penat, walituambia ukisimama kupinga hiyo serikali utakuwa umepinga Mungu na kuna mambo itakupata. Sasa mimi leo kusikia hao wanaongea, Penat, ni kama walitoka Amerikani ama walitoka sijui wapi, wameangukia airport ya Kenya na wanasema wakati sisi hatukuweko hii mambo imefanyika. Hawa ndio wamekunywa chai na wakubwa Bernard. Nao ile kitu nilikuwa nataka kanisa ituambie ni kwamba tulikuja tukasema uongo, hiyo ni moja. Na sasa wananchi, kwa sababu sisi tuliweka hii serikali, wakuwe wa kwanza kubeba msiko yao. Bernard, ukikuja na kikapu yako uweke kwa Chatiso hapo nje, Chatisho atakungojea hiyo kikapu. Ukikuja Bernard hawezi ingiza kwake atumie. Ukifika anakuambia hey Bernard, ndio ile kikapu yako uende nayo. Sasa ile kitu tunangoja kama Wakenya ni kanisa wabebe msiko yao, kikapu yao iko. Hakuna mtu ametumia Bernard, kwa sababu ilikuwa ya Mungu tukaokopa kukusa. So warudishe kikapu yao, wawachane na sisi wa Kenya. Ya pili, wasikuje kutuambia tumewaambia tukawaambia. Kama ni Mungu, kama ni mtumishi wa Mungu vile ulituambia, na mkakutana mkaenda mkakunywa chai, alafu tena unakuja kutuuliza swali. Penalty hiyo ni kutuchekea. Hiyo ni kuchekea wa Kenya. Ya pili, abduction. Kweli watoto wetu wameuawa. Hawa wanafanya nini? Haya, anatuambia tena sasa pisho vingine kuna mambo ya kuongeza mwaka. Na wakaongea 5 na 10. Sasa Bernard, ni nini wajui? Wanaambiana wacha tuende tuseme ndio Wakenya wasione sisi tuko na makosa. We are tired of this thing Bernard. Kama wanataka Katoliki ama Wakristo waende kwa barabara, tukue nyuma yao. Hata sisi mulituletea huyu mtu, mkuje mkule tear gas na sisi wananchi tuwafuate. Chatiso, umesema maneno ya shule ama kuchenga. Hiyo pesa politicians wanapeleka, kuna makanisa umeona imechengwa. Wanaweka hema, wanalete material sile rahisi, alafu unakuta hema kubwa, lakini humu ndani hakuna makanisa. Makanisa nafikiri silikuwa sinachengwa penalty, if I'm not wrong, ni kitambo sana. Mashule ni wakati ya Moi, makanisa ni wakati hiyo. Lakini hii watu wamekuja sasa, father ama pastor kwanza ananunua nyumba yake, kwanza anakuwa na biashara yake, kwanza anakuwa na gari ile hata uwezi weza. Na hiyo pesa ilikuwa inatolewa iende ichenge kanisa. Alafu pastor Bernard ako na wase karibu 10 hapo mbele na wamama ingine wale wanafaa vizuri miniskirt wanakaa mbele ya kanisa. Bernard, we are tired. Hii pesa walitolewa ni ya hiyo watu. So what I'm saying is we don't want to hear. Chukua kikabu yenyu, rutisha. Alafu na sisi machane na sisi. Kama hakuna kitu ingine pastor wanatusaidia ama fathers, wanyamase Bernard. Tukufe tu ama tuchukuliwe tu, watoto yetu wao wakichukuliwa tu moja moja wakiona. Lakini hawezi kuja unauliza raia afanye nini? Raia hiyo akitoka anauawa. Raia akiandamana anachapwa. So wewe unauliza, wewe kuja ututangulie kama father. Nipate mafadha yote na mabishop kina nani wakue mbele ya maandamano vile Raila alikuwa na kutanga mbele. So this time round, si politicians, ile kanisa ilituambia hii ni serikali ya Mungu, na mwenzao mkubwa yao mwenye aliwaipia resign, na mama yao hot air nimeona leo akiochiwa anasema anaomba msamaha, na akasema kama yale mambo nilisema wakati hiyo iliuti watu. So they know. Kidogo tena nikaona Bernard, sijui kama ni ukweli, naona mambo ya server imekuja, ni kama tunataka wakati hii mama ya Amerika ameenda Bernard, ama hiyo vitu ilikuwa kwake. Kwa sababu sasa kwa nini tunaambiwa mambo ya server this time round? Anyway, wacha niwachie hapo. Mwisho nasikia wanashindana kuchukua CNC. Sasa Kalonzo nasikia ako na msichana, sijui ni msichana gani hiyo ya CNC amejoin upande ya Kalonzo. Ule kijana ingine ameingia ODM. Sasa nilikuwa nasikia wakichambua wakisema ni CNC gani sasa ataenda pati ya Ruto, ni kama hakuna. So kwa nini hii watu wanaenda kujificha kwa hii watoto tena? That's my question. Thank you, Bernard.
Maswala nyeti kweli. Nashukuru kila mmoja, naomba tafadhali tumakinike kukaribishana, muda ndio huo na lazima ukweli usemwe. Naomba tafadhali ukuwe mstari wa mbele kukaribisha mtu. Usitazame kipindi peke yako. Hapa ndipo tunakutana kama Wakenya kusema masuala yetu katika lugha yetu na katika maneno yetu. Now, on the other hand, we invite you to be part of the poll question. And the poll question is very simple. We are asking whether the government is being transparent about the state of education and the state of the economy. There are 3 multiple choice questions. There are answers there that you pick one and let us know where you stand on the matter. Do you believe the government is being transparent on the state of the economy and education? Your response is needed. 66 people have responded on Sound Candid Talk, and Sound Candid Talk Live I'll be checking shortly, so I'll be giving the verdict as we continue with the conversation. I need you to be active, fully participant. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, and when you subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you will always be here and follow our programs without fail. Now, Kip, bishops have spoken.
Hello Bernard, hello Mama Selina Shadisho. Habari zenu wote. Bernard, it's a sad day, yeah?
Karibu nyumbani, Kip. Karibu nyumbani.
It's a sad day. I'm a Catholic, eh? Let's state that first. That Bernard anajuanga hivi. Bernard alikuanga, by the Bernard used to be a Catholic, you know that? Kwa pastor. Sisi tunamuonea ni ukweli, anajua. You can see he's not denying it. He used to be one. But it's sad.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
I was to be a reverend father. I've been to the seminary, so
Yeah.
these people know my story. Thank you.
So Bernard knows. Na hata kitu moja I like about Bernard, ana believe in what Catholics are supposed to do. Now unajua very well most hospitals, most schools, vile Shadisho amesema tu sahi, the church that leads most of these, especially hospitals, unasikianga kuna kuanga Mama Selina anajuanga mambo ya sister kutoka zamani. Sister ukienda to the villages, mtu akiwa mgonjwa anasema anaenda wapi? Anaenda kwa sister, because there's more.
Hiyo shida ni kwangu peke yake ama kila mahali? We can't get what you're saying.
Can you hear me?
Umemusikia?
Fresh from my end.
Umekuja karibu. So sister, sikianga mambo ya sister, hata inaonekana hata Shadisho ameshikwa na shida, Mama Selina there. Ima ni mimi peke yangu?
Nakusikia Bernard. No, Kibu uendelee. Naona Bernard ni kama amekutwa.
Oh, yeah.
So endelea.
So hii kitu tunasikia, what we see with the churches, most usually what we see with churches, they get money from government to subsidize their hospitals, the hospitals there. So now the economy is so hard that other than sele SHA imekuja, SHIF, whatever it is imekuja, hawalipwi. You know, they're not being subsidized. Because I don't know what level hospital they usually are, but all levels of hospital to take care of the population wanalipwanga. And sometimes even schools are subsidized by the government. Lakini Ruto amekanyaga pesa ya Kenya kabisa, that now the churches are speaking, because unajua sometimes you may think these are people of ni watu wa Mungu, lakini kama kitu ja kuguza karibu na yeye, if it does not touch you or your nearest person, you ignore the problem. Ukiona watu wanaenda maandamano, oh, bado mimi niko na kazi, unakaa, you stay at home. Oh, mbona una complain, unakaa, you keep quiet, unasema it's not affecting me. That is what has happened right now with the churches. It has affected them. It has messed them. Now, after saying that, which is true, things about abductions and all those things, why are they coming now? That the fact that they're not getting their monies, sasa ndio wanakuja, because unajua watu wanarudi kwa mitishamba sahi. That's how you're going to heal each other now, because what can we do? What can, people are suffering right now in Kenya so immensely that ukienda Kenya sahi, money is not circulating. People know hakuna pesa. Nobody has pocket change. You're only going, for a growing economy to happen, money has to circulate. There's no more luxuries. Hata sasa kula mkate siku hizi, even buying bread is an issue. You can't even have breakfast. You have one meal. Because bread is a luxury. Maziwa, kununua maziwa is a luxury. So imagine the company that is producing those goods. What are they going to do? By December, I think, Bernard, you've seen me send that on the admin group. How many companies hizo zinafungwa? You've seen those companies which are being closed. Big companies. Kuna company moja inaitwa the Australian miner called Titanium, 1,200 jobs going. Haya, Protect and Gamble wenye watengenezanga Always and Pampers, 800 jobs going. Haya, G4S unajuanga ya security, 400 jobs are going. Port ya Tanzania inakuja inachukua kazi zetu. Now we used to be the largest export for East, North, a bit of the North and Central Africa. We used to send the goods there. Now Tanzania has taken those jobs from us. Haya, huyu CS wa Ruto Mbadi amesema sasa anataka kuingilia kina Bernard, anataka kuingilia kina Shadisho, anataka kuingilia all the content creators and start taxing those people. Money ya Bernard will stop circulating now. It is bad because I think the formula of taxing Kenyan does not work. Hii principle ya taxation kutoka huko kwa West ni kwa sababu there is high income here. Huko nyumbani 80% of the people are informal workers. Ni watu wanajitafutianga kibarua, wanafanya kazi kidogo hivi. 80% informal working, so 20% wanaenda ofisi. Haya, number 2, compared to the West, pesa ya taxation inarudi kwa economy. Pesa ya taxation inafanya the mining company in Kwale to be able to be sustainable enough to continue operations. Money will help the company that does Always and Pampers to have good factories. So Mr. Mbadi, overtaxing the population is not going to solve the problem. There's only one solution to this. Even if Ruto wants to stay in that seat, it will be fine. Only thing that bothers Kenyans, hata ukikuja na ukabila, weke watu wako wengi wa Kalenjin kwa nini, kwa ministry zote, Put all your friends there, it's fine. We don't care about that. The problem is hiyo kitu inaitwa ufisadi na corruption. I don't think people would care. To be honest, I don't care if all the people are from Central that are in the government. I don't care if all the people in government are from Nyanza or Western or watu wangu. It doesn't matter to me. If those guys actually worked for the people of Kenya. Sometimes as Kenyans, we don't look at the main problem in Kenya, ni ufisadi. And the chief person is sitting at the top seat. Na naiba. Walikuwa wameenda cabinet ministry, wameenda cabinet meeting leo. First time wakindiki. Sasa badala ya kwenda kufanya kazi, huyu mjamaa, by the cabinet meeting is not supposed to be in State House. That is for tourists. Inafaa kuwa wapi? Harambee House. It's a political place. Amekaa cabinet meeting hapa. Tunapatia snippets ya videos, we don't even understand what they're doing. We are watching things that we don't understand. Kumbe the man has been avoiding Rigathi Gachagua for a whole month. Whole month this man has been avoiding. So we are in big trouble as Kenyans, and for the Catholic Church, I think it's a bit too late. You should have done that 2 years ago. Unakuja hapa, so, like Mama Selina is saying, unataka sisi tufanye nini kama? What do you want us to do? Unataka tufanye nini? Tukiuliwa mnanyamaza. Tukiuliwa unasema tuongee tufanye nini? Hiyo mzigo yako beba. Thank you, Bernard.
Sasa Kip, wewe unadai kwamba ni the church quarter is not reaching the basket. That is why they are speaking.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
What happened to the church quarter?
Church quarter is not getting money. Why are they talking about visas? Work visas. Kuna pesa. They want to bring foreigners in.
Okay, that was... remember, there was an allegation that they have revised the work permit and the visas for the missionaries. I think it used to be 5,000 or something, but now they put it something like, is it 50 or 100? I don't know. I can't get the figures, but there was that debate.
But na hiyo pesa, unajua sasa missionary yako iko hapo kwa kina Selina sahi. Hiyo kanisa ya huko itakuwa inatuma pesa to Kenya to help with the missionary work. That is money that's circulating within the church. Now, if you block these people from coming, now, Bernard, you know, sometimes I have to be very frank right now. I know it pains me to say it, but it's true. Even the Catholic Church is capable of all this stuff. They've been quiet. Now that it's affecting them, they're talking. They need the missionary people. They really need those people to come in. And when they come, they spend money here and they spend money on the church. It is bad.
So Johnny, naona umeinua mkono, hebu ingilia hii maneno.
Mimi naitwa Johnny kutoka Kenya, lakini sasa niko Italy. I've been following mambo ya Kenya kutoka nikuje huku kwa sababu mimi ni Mkenya tu kama wengine. Kwa hivyo leo nikaona kanisa imetoa statement. Na kanisa hii mambo imesema si mapya. The politicians, they have been talking about it. Kalonzo, sijui nani wanaongea, lakini vile serikali imejibu this statement haijibu wengine namna hiyo. I don't know why, because immediately maretas huyu amejibu hii, huyu amejibu hii. Hata nikaona news ya saa 3 hata polisi imetoa hata statement. Na hii sio kitu mpya, imekuwa ikihappen. Watu wamekuwa the voicing out, watu wamekuwa wakidemonstrate especially about the killings and the rest, but the government has been just brushing off. Okay, huwa wanasema kakitu but not with the seriousness ile nimeona leo, like kuna mahali wamedungwa. It's as if they were not waiting for something. I'm happy the way the church did it by writing, because when you write something, it commands more than when just you give a press statement. Na vile Wakenya tunajulikana, ndio maana nimefurahi vile Kipo anasema pesa mingi za tax hazifanyi kazi kwetu bana. Lakini pia sisi kama Wakenya, wakati amesema mambo na huku west na east, huku hakuna destruction inafanywa. Kukiwa na demonstration, watu hawaharibu bana. So hiyo pesa inafanywa kwa renovation, huku haifanywi renovation. Kitu ilijengwa sijui 200 years bado inakuja kuangaliwa na wazungu na tourists na wengine. Why? Because there is no that of destruction but just maintaining. That is discipline on our part. But the church, the way it has done it, imenyamaza sana. Hapo ni ukweli. Na nimeangalia history, nilikuwa naangalia history ya kanisa Katoliki kutoa press statements. Huwa wanatoa only when wako na kitu, nimeona hapo inaitwa mkutano ya wote Kenya Catholic of wakati wako na hiyo mkutano ndio wanatoa press statement for issues ile ime happen from the last meeting. So that is the way I have read a bit, nikaona. So tunaweza piga kanisa imesema mambo ingine hata imepitwa na wakati. Like when they talked about 7 years. Na hiyo kitu ilipitwa na wakati kwa sababu ilienda bunge sijui ikapitishwa. Lakini vile tunajua wabunge ama hao watu wetu, they can say one thing, wanaweza sema hii kitu ilipitwa. Alafu Wakenya tunyamaze vile tunanyamazaga. All of a sudden ndio hiyo inapigiwa kura kwa bunge. Ndio na mama nani alikuwa anatuambia hapa. Wakati ingine tunanyamaza, vitu inaendelea. Wale watu wanaongea ni wale wanakuwa affected saa hiyo. Lakini baadaye ndio wale ambao wanafaa kutupigania wanaongea. You know? Secondly, hii serikali ilikuja na kanisa. Waliingia kanisa sana. Hivyo Kipo anasema, na wakabeba pesa. Na hata huyu anaitwa National Unity Platform mama. Hata yeye amesema wanaleta mapesa kwa kanisa. Na ni ukweli. I think sasa ile kitu walikuwa wanadhani itaendelea, hiyo mambo ya kuletewa mapesa na kunyamazishwa. Sasa hiyo mapesa haipatikani. So imesema hapana, kama baya. Vile gavana mmoja anasemanga huko Kenya Wanyeri. Kama baya. Sasa imesema wacha tuseme. But is that one enough? Is it enough just to say it? Is it enough to say Gen Z? Okay, it also affected some of us when we were here, that demonstration, the youth, because it became, watu walianza kuangalia Kenyan youth as violent. So wale wengi una propose, mtu anakuuliza kuna mtu anaweza fanya kazi, wewe unatoka wapi? Anambia Kenya. Huko walipiga hata parliament. They see as if it's a bit violent before they understand. Anyway, that is okay. Lakini my take ni kanisa ilijaribu, lakini haikufanya vile sisi wote tunafaa. Hatuwezi wapiga sana, lakini pia unajua kanisa ni conscience of the state according to me. Na hiyo kuna mtu mwingine alisema hivyo, nadhani Kenyatta, yule first president. The church is the conscience of the state. But mechanism ya kanisa hivyo kwamba inaweza jua mambo hata before at least, and also to let red flag, raise red flag when there is something happening. But the challenge ile kubwa ni sisi wa Kenya. Hiyo shi na sha. Oji nimeongea na mtu leo nimeongea na mtu ako Kenya. Ako na shida ana nose bleed usiku. Leo akaenda hospitali, hiyo kitu yake haipatikani kwa internet, jina haitoki. Jina haitoki. Alienda private. Sasa akalipa na pesa. Kwa sababu hawa wanasema hapana, lazima hii jina itoke, hii sijui what, ukiwa na hiyo registration ya change of. Haya, kitu ya pili, kuna yule mtu aliondolewa kwa SHA juzi, na after kufanya investigation kidogo inasemekana kwamba kuna kitu ilikuwa inafichwa, kwa sababu walisema mashini zingine hazifanyi kazi for the new system ya SHA na SHI. Sasa serikali haitaki ku-accept some of these challenges, so lazima ifiche tu vitu vingine kama hii. So sometimes is very challenging to think about our government and also to think about ourselves. I'm also a Kenyan kwa sababu nakujanga, wakati nakuja naangalia naona hata simple rules, usitupe takataka hapa, simple, ama usikojoe hapa, simple rule. Sisi tunaona hiyo kama ni ujinga tu. Unapata mtu amesimama hapo ndiye anafanya hiyo mambo. So hiyo simple rule ndio imeleta hiyo hata grave rules. Zinafanya hata nikiiba nitaenda wapi? Billions zinaibiwa na watu wananyamaza. Ama unapelekwa kotini naenda hivi, hakuna evidence. Anyway, that is my take. I like the discussion, lakini that is where I am. If we are all of us disciplined, sababu kila wakati serikali inaingia, tunapiga kura, kwanza hii tunaliibia, baadaye tunateta sisi wenyewe. Election itakuja karibu, ngoja 2026 December hapo mambo itakuwa tuone, kama ndio sisi hao, alafu tuanze kulia tena. What is the solution? What can we do? We thought the church will give us good leaders. Those ones they came through the church. Alafu asante sana Bernard.
They came through the church. They did not come from the church.
They came through the church. Hawa sio wa kanisa, walipitia kwa kanisa hawa.
Walipitia kanisa au kutoka kanisani. Wakakuwa
hapana, hawa walipitia bana.
Sawa, asante kwa hiyo na maswali nyeti kweli. Lakini inaonekana nyinyi mtaki kanisa lifanye lirudi, what is the Swahili word, msimamo kwa wapi? You know, mtaki kanisa serikali kwa sababu walilea. Yes,
ifanye more, yani si tu kutoa statement. Alafu Sunday utaona tu jamaa ako tu kwa hii kanisa imetoa statement na apigiwe makofi. Na kanisa ilisema hapo mambo na lies. Ilisema hii wachani kudanganya wa Kenya bana. Tuongee ukweli. Alafu kuna mtu atakuwa maybe this Sunday somewhere in the church na sema SHA is working. And they talked about it is not working. Na apigiwe makofi. So hii double speak, tunataka kanisa hata kama huyu politician amekuja kanisa, kwa lazima aongee. Si mimi naenda kanisa na sijawahi ongea. Huku kuna politicians, they have never talked in the church. Kwanza huku wako. Lakini sasa sijui, mimi sijui sasa kuna mambo complicated tu hivyake. Lakini kanisa kuna kitu inaweza fanya more. Mama alikuwa anasema wanataka Wakristo watokee maandamano. Anyway, mimi sikusikia hiyo, lakini naweza imagine Wakatoliki wame haki yetu. It is very funny. Ama Wakorino na sisi na wale wengine. Sasa tuko barabara, haki yetu.
Ni haki yetu. Unajua, naomba tuelewane hapa. Ngoja kidogo. And by the way, kuna mtu ana interfere na broadcast. inaonekana some of our enemies are at work, so kuna vile we are not stable hapa kwa studio, so kaeni macho hivyo, tunaweza
Ama
tupo nje
nimeingia
anytime.
kutoka nje ya Kenya. Unajua I'm streaming from Italy, Milano.
Si wewe kuna yeah, si wewe, hata mimi niko US, keep ako London, kuna
okay.
Yeah, so si wewe, you are okay. Kuna watu wanajaribu tu ku sabotage.
Okay.
So you are okay, yeah. Aina si wewe.
Okay.
So Ebu confirm if you can hear me.
Yes.
Na ninakusikia Penat, and I hope Keep anakusikia pia.
I can hear him.
Are you able to get me?
Yes.
I can hear you, but your image is freezing. Occasionally.
Get you people talking clearly. You are dragging. Ni kama
video.
Battery imeisha kwa radio.
Toa video.
Ni upande yako tu Penat. For us we are okay. Tunakusikiza vizuri.
What I will do is Keep nini? Shikilia kwanza. I need to restart the machine.
Nimeshika.
Toa video.
Kumbe nilikuwa nimeweka silent.
So Mama Selina, wacha nikwambie kitu moja. Hii story ya Kalonzo imenikasirisha sana. Kalonzo ni mtu ambaye haezi tumia nguvu yake kufanya politics. Kalonzo is very weak. Kalonzo does not know ni watermelon, pure watermelon, complete and pure watermelon. Nasikia kuna rumors that I think 4 Ukambani bigwigs. Kulikuwa na Kalonzo, si Kalonzo, kulikuwa na huyu Iron Lady wa Ukambani, inaitwaje? Ngilu, Mutua, and 2 other people. 2 other bigwigs in Ukambani walikutana, and what they want to do is to try and destroy Wiper in Ukambani. They want to kind of eliminate Kalonzo's hold in Ukambani. So I'm just thinking that our politics have, that is the person people are thinking that, at least here akienda akipanda huko, in 2027 there is hope, because I know some of you are going to go vote in 2027. Me, I already gave up on the system, because IEBC yenye inakuja haitakuwa IEBC yetu, itakuwa IEBC ya Ruto na ODM. It's not going to be a fair one. So now that they're attacking Kalonzo, somebody who's very weak, somebody that only relies on alliances to kind of progress his political agenda, we're in trouble. We're in big, big trouble as Kenyans. We're in huge trouble. So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. And then just in other news, I'm just looking here. So now Raila is going to do this AUC thing. AUC, and usually people like Ruto, Uhuru, or even Mwai Kibaki, anybody, but especially Ruto, because Ruto has been doing this for the last 10 years, actually 12 years. Ruto likes a villain. Ruto likes somebody that he can blame. Aseme huyu ndio alifanya mbaya, huyu ndio alifanya makosa, who usually, you know, there's always that finger that Ruto wants to point at somebody. So now that a few of Raila's troops are working with him, Raila has gone to AUC. There's no devil. Rigathi Gachagua bado hajaanza, he has officially not started fighting, because all that Ruto would be saying like, asikufanya hivi kwa sababu kulikuwa na maandamano. Uchumi iliharibika kwa sababu ya maandamano. Mlitukataza kufanya hii kwa sababu mlienda parliament mkafanya. You have the whole legislative. So I don't see the devil this time, Mr. Ruto, other than yourself. I think I may rely so much on blaming people that right now he has got nobody to blame. Gashago's fight has not started. And is Gashago somebody that can cause headache to Ruto? I don't think so. Rahabad, Kamo, the Catholic Church no longer gets its money from Rome, but the Christians all over. Even Rome sent money, and it was from generous souls. It doesn't rain money in Rome. No. It's the other way around, my friend.
Okay, Bernard, no, keep.
It's
Catholic, Catholic iko na shida kwa sababu
it's the other way around.
Nilikuwa nakwambia huko Amerikani sahii Catholic wanasema wafanyikazi wanaanza kuuza properties, wako na shida sana. Kulikuwa hii mambo ya inaitwa nini, hii mambo ya watoto mafata wanafanya mambo vituko, wamestakiwa sana. So wako in a lot of problem, na kanisa ikro hakuna vijana kuingia kwa kanisa, so ni wale watu wase wanaelekea kuseeka. So there is a lot of problem in hata hiyo pesa ya missionaries nini ilikuwa inakuja imereduce very badly.
Pesa inatokanga kutoka down up, by the way. That's how it works. Money does not come from Rome. Money goes to Rome. Frahabad, it goes to Rome. So hiyo sadaka yote there's a portion that goes to, when we're talking about missionaries, mwenye ametoka US, Ireland or whatever country, wanatoa pesa yao wakisaidia missionary. It's not from Rome. No. Rome receives money, not the other way around. So for me, just finish up the statement, Kalonzo needs to really start campaigning without thinking of alliances. You cannot work with Rigiji. I don't think it's the viable thing. Kalonzo, you took Azimio. What you need to do is expand Wiper, expand Azimio. I need to see Kalonzo elsewhere in Kenya. So okay, so Wamboyo Jacobs, you're right. But by the way, I'm just going to repeat, they're going to oust him. Ngilu is against him, Mtua is against him. Walienda wakakutana huko watamtoa. You'll see. So those are my little rant. Bernard, please nikupatia space.
Wanamtoa wapi?
No, you didn't hear about the secret meeting in Windsor.
Every secret meeting takes place in secret. How do you know what is taking place in secret? Okay, I'm just saying that because the rivalry between Mutua and Kalonzo, Ngilu and Kalonzo, did not start yesterday. It did not start at Windsor. In 2000 and what? I think it's 97. They ran against each other. The same. I think 2007. The same thing. There was even a time when Ngilu and Kalonzo were not shaking hands. I think it took Raila and who to make them shake hand. Even if they meet in a meeting, shaking hand was an issue. Just ile salamu ya Yesu ya bure. So the only time Ngilu and Mutua and Kalonzo on the same side, I think it was through Azimio. No other time. And so that political alliance is it's a usual historical whatever rivalry. Whether that will take the Kamba wherever the Kamba vote or the Kamba followership from Kalonzo or not, time will tell. But the attempts have been there several times. Bwana Kip, are you still there?
I'm still here. So yeah. No, okay, yeah. So it's neither here or there for me, so it doesn't really matter. He's a watermelon, and he'll remain a watermelon, and it's fine. It's okay with me. It's fine.
He's not a watermelon. He is Kalonzo. He's just being Kalonzo.
I just wanted to attack one leader per day. So wacha nikumzike kwa Raila leo. So leo ni siku ya Kalonzo.
Mwachana na viongozi. Now, on the issue of we are not doing justice to the debate in terms of beside the fault in the church and the failures in the church. Does the church still have a stake on the direction the society takes? And if they took their responsibility serious, would we be in a better place than we are? Or the church makes no difference?
Yes, the church makes a big difference, because you just stated it right now, Bernard. Walikuja kwa njia ya kanisa. They came through the church. Si ati kanisa, walikuja through the church. Every Sunday, it even includes the Catholic Church. That's why I'm bashing my own church. Unaona Ruto na mabishop huko, anaenda kanisa, wanaongea juu ya politics badala ya kuhubiria wananchi. So yes, somehow us as congregants go there and watch them come and lie to us in the house of God. And the pastors, your fellow pastors, your fellow clergy, allow it. And the ones who speak the truth are warned. Like the priest who was warned for saying the truth. So it just looks like our chief minister, our kwanza tuna pope. We have a pope in Kenya called Ruto, Assistant Jesus, where these church leaders have to get blessings from him in a brown envelope. So yes, they have a sway. We are in a society whereby, Bernard, we have big mega churches in slums. Kanisa kubwa sana kwa slum. Ya nini? That's why I like your church. Your church is humble. Wabiri wanakuja hapo wanakuwa humble. You're a humble preacher, not like these other people who are big building mega things. Hata ndio nakwambia mimi napendanga Commander. Commander ndio mtu yangu kabisa. General himself. That is my boy. Thank you.
General anataka kutumia kitu mtu wa sufuria kwa kichwa. Wewe hiyo kesi yako na general utafanya baadaye.
Naongea baadaye na general bana wewe. Don't talk bad about the general. Tutakosana.
Your general achana na kijana atengeneze pesa ya TikTok. Anataka kumtumia kitu. Kutuma kitu hiyo ni ngumu, ni kitu ni hatari sana. Kwanza ikitoka kwa commander chief in commander. Commander in chief. He said,
alikwambia alikwambia si bishop si pastor.
Ni apostle, anaongea kama mtume.
Ni apostle.
So now I want us to critically look at this. The church has been let down in the sense that they instead of them raising leaders, they go and baptize leaders. I mean political leaders. What I believe needs to be done naturally is that the church should be able to front leaders that they have raised, leaders that are accountable, leaders that can be called to order. But if they just met somebody on the road and the person on the road said, Bwana Sifiwe, and they said amen, and they began to say, this is the one that we are going to vote for, they will still lead us where they have led us, where they are now denying their own candidate. They are now denying their own person that they fronted and said, this is the one. Why? Because he was still a stranger, but they never gave birth to him. But he came and got adopted, and now he's no longer behaving like the family wants him to behave. And now they are running away from responsibility by denying. By denying to acknowledge that we were wrong about this, because I've not heard the bishop say that they were wrong on this in terms of giving direction to the nation to follow this kind of leadership that is lying every day and neglecting the Kenyan people. I don't know what is your take, Shadizo. Are we still there? Okay, let's get this video and then we build up on the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, please, namba ya watazamaji imekwama hapa. Naomba tafadhali tuinyanyue hiyo namba ya watazamaji ipande tafadhali. We can't be stuck here. Please share widely, get more people to join, get more people to participate into the show. Now, part of our discussion, beside what the church has spoken on the Ruto government, there is also the other plight of the Kenyan people, and that is the crisis of both the economy and the education, which is framing part of the poll question that we are responding to. Now, there is a common outcry by the opposition leadership on how bad things are, but the government, on the other hand, is defending the situation and saying that things are not as bad as they're being described. So I want to hear what the opposition said about the situation, especially the education situation, and thereafter we hear what the cabinet says in terms of defending that same maneno.
But in the meantime, now Kenya Party leader Martha Karua and other opposition leaders have accused the government of systematic destruction of education in the country. The leaders, who included former Cabinet Minister Dr. Mukisa Kitui and former Makueni Governor Professor Kivutha Kibwana, say that the government is driving learning to the brink of collapse, which will have catastrophic consequences for a whole generation. The leaders want the Kenya Kwanza administration to do away with the new university funding model, as well as other reforms that have been stayed by the court. And as Kamau Mwangi now reports, they want Ruto's administration to prioritize proper planning over hasty reforms.
From industrial action by teachers and lecturers in recent weeks and months, a university funding model that seems to disadvantage those that it is meant to help, and inconsistencies in actualizing the junior secondary education, opposition leaders are up in arms over a sector that seems to be in crisis. The never-ending issues in the sector that receives the largest chunk of the country's budget, perhaps what has led to now Kenya Party leader Martha Karua and fellow opposition leaders to call out the Ruto administration, accusing the president of knowingly crippling the sector.
Without providing the basics for university, which is accommodation, tuition, and meals, you have not given access to the poor, because any one of those three can make them drop out. Without providing the capitation for secondary, most students will be out.
What results is the country harvesting from the 2 years of their government? An inept hodgepodge of half-baked reform measures, an intelligent imposition of reforms without supporting infrastructure, personnel and resources, a vengeful rebuttal of evident failure, an attempt to use blackmail and brinkmanship to confront those telling them their efforts are more hurtful than the problem they set out to resolve.
The opposition leaders say the Kenya Kwanza administration has enough resources to solve what ails the education sector, accusing the president of deliberately choosing to cause confusion.
There will be very serious and enduring consequences soon. There must be a convergence. The grievances by the students, by the academic and non-teaching staff, by the management, by parents.
This country actually has been known on the continent as one of the countries with a very robust educational system. So if measures are taken to dilute that, it means that even on the African continent, we are lowering our esteem.
We should now be aiming to freeing education from kindergarten, that is ECD, to university level. Instead, Ruto and his administration have behaved the way locusts behave when they descend on greenery. They consume everything and leave nothing.
They condemn the haste with which reforms in the sector are being undertaken, saying there is poor planning by the Kenya Kwanza regime to implement changes in the sector without proper preparation.
The government of President Ruto is playing with fire in a systematic destruction of education at all levels in the country. Through a cacophony of ill-conceived reform, betrayal of election promises, contempt of court rulings, intimidation of critics as its modus operandi in public universities, disregard of CBS it has entered with lecturers, and an arrogant disregard of the extreme impact of its actions and omissions on learners from poor backgrounds, this government is driving learning to the brink of collapse.
Which university is working? Is it Egerton? Is it Kenyatta University? Is it Moi University? Is it University of Nairobi? None is working. Despite Ruto going to fish for chancellors from Europe.
Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
Haya, mambo ni kama hayo. Opposition leadership hapo wakizungumza kuhusu masuala ya masomo. Maoni yenu? Shadizo upo? Shadizo, we don't get you. Your mic is off, Shadizo. Okay, inaonekana kuna itilafu ya mitambo na Shadizo ataregea baadaye. Mama, unaona sasa uso ya opposition imeanza kuonekana?
Kutoka wapi Penat? Inaisha.
Wewe.
Inaonekana sasa.
Unaona Mama Karua, umeona Kabando wa Kabando, Mhiza Kitui. Hii ni wingi tofauti na ya Kalonzo na Wamalo.
Ndio mimi nasema yes, Kabando wa Kabando, Martha Karua, Mhiza Kitui wawezi kuwa na msimamo yao peke yao pena. You know, the problem is watu wamezoea kufalishwa koti. Chenye napendea Martha Karua, she can go, anaezaenda peke yake, ajali hata kama ako peke yake, lakini mkikuja kuungana na Martha Karua na mutake kumutumia atatoka. Wacha these parties, wacha watoke wengi, and then end of the day tutajua penat, because opposition mingi kwa bahati mbaya wanapatia Ruto chance. 202 penat, rain for collusion, walikuja pamoja na wakaesa kutoa Moi. So kama sasa kila mtu anataka kuchukua, kila mtu anataka hii nyama kidogo kidogo penat, si mutachukua mpaka ipaki mapupa. So wakati mapupa imepaki itafanya kitu kweli? This is not the right time kwa hii watu. Sasa Martha Karua kabando wa kabando wachukue CNC kidogo, wale watakuwa pati yao, lakini wale wengi so I think Kenyans are not serious. We don't have leaders. Sasa wanatafuta, unajua mkiwa opposition wengi kuna hii pesa inakuja ya donors. Sasa tunajichenga, but I don't think so. There is no penat. What happened with Kalonzo and Mother? Kama Raila alitoka, okay, compare, si kwa ubaya. Leo niliona ODM walikuwa Migori, walikuwa Homa Bay. Now one part with all that crown penat, does that say something? Kama hii kurubi yote inashikana na mkutano yao moja inaweza stua vile nimeona Homa Bay na Migori, people are not serious penat. We need to say the truth. Wakati baba anatengeneza chama yake grassroots, ako na leaders from crown mpaka top. Nyinyi mnakutana hoteli watu watatu, amuna sasa recruitment ya parties, when are you going to have it? Watakuwa na nini sangapi? Because this is 2025 tunaelekea. Kalonzo anastahili kurecruit, akuwe na face of Kenya if he can be our leader of opposition. Martha Karua na Kenya my party, they need to go back to grassroots penat. Siku ile walishikana na Uhuru akamumaliza, akatuambia tusiweke mtu hata moja. Hatukukuwa na mtu hata moja ya na Kenya alisimama. So now this is not the time of Mukisa Kitui atakuwa na nani Western. Kama Wamalwa ako huko anahangaika, nani anaitwa nani, baba wa Roma anahangaika. Watu yote baba amefuka kutoka Nyanza, anachukua Western yote ni kwake, ni nyumbani. Na wase walisema nyinyi watu ya Western mkitaka kuwa rais lazima itokange ile Nyanza kwanza ikuje hivi. So ukiniambia today ati haya kabando wa kabando, chama gani huko Central penat, kucha kitu moja, and I'm sorry, najua watu wanaweza kunichapa lakini si mbaya kuchabwa. Maina Njenga anakuwa na wafuasi mingi sana, ila hata wakiimba unasikia Kenya imeisha saa hiyo. Hakuna siku Maina Njenga amai kuwa member of parliament. Where are these votes? Ikifika siku ya kura, hii watu wanaenda wapi penat? Because that is the guy ako na watu na wafuasi wanakula mori kabisa. But when it comes to votes, huwezi kuwaona. So for me, as nataka hao watu badala ya kukuja kutuambia story mingi, waende crown, Kalonzo recruit, Martha Karua na chama yetu tuendelee kutafuta watu yetu, keep hapa tujue vile tutasaidia chama yetu, ili tuone sasa Kenya tuko wapi. Lakini kukuja hapo hoteli watu wawili tatu, no. Sasa hapo mtakuja kukosea baba akiwa na watu yake, kwa sababu wanachipanga. So kwa nini watu wasichipange nao penat? That is my question. So ukiniambia opposition niko, nakwambia hakuna. Chama ile moja imekuwa ikipigana na KANU, ikapigana na hii ingine yote, ni hiyo ODM hatutaki. But I am happy. Leo ilikuwa Migori. Uliona vile Kuria, kwa sababu hiyo Homa Bay iko na Wakuria na Wakisii, na uliona vile hiyo chama iko wa mama wa nguvu vijana, uliona kwa like unaona unafurahia. Wacha uniform, unajua uniform yetu ya yellow mlinunua wakati ya wheelbarrow, lakini hata saa hii ukiambia hiyo wamama watoke, they are not there. Hiyo ndio mambo tunasema. Wacha niwachie watu wengine Bernard, but they are not doing right. Turudi mambo ya kanisa, wachana na mambo ya hii watu ya siasa ya uongo. Wacha turudi pale pale tuliambiwa Mungu iko, na sasa tuulize tutafanya raia haya. Maunga anaweza ambia sasa, tulifikiria father na reverend ndio wana connecting na Mungu direct. Sasa wanakuja kuuliza Mama Selina tufanye nini, na mimi nategemea yeye maombi yangu ipite kwao. Sasa sisi tunakujanga kanisa, mtu ombee maombi yetu ifike kwa baba.
Enda polepole mami.
Sasa kwani tena tukinirudia uniambie tufanye nini, na mimi ndiye nakutegemea unipeleke mbinguni.
Hii safari ya mbinguni ni ngumu. Naomba hivi. Tulia kidogo, tulete Maungo. Shadizo, sauti yako imerudi. Wewe unajiongelesha. Shadizo, are you there? Change your microphone, Shadizo. Your microphone is not coming through. Yes, Maunga, how are you?
I'm well. I hope everyone else is well. Mama Selina, Shadizo, Bernard, good to see you. I have been listening in the background, and so my reaction, actually, the reason I've come to the studio is because of the question you asked regarding opposition, if now, seeing as now the face of opposition has come. I really liked your response to Kip. Sazile amekwambia ati wanataka kumaliza Kalonzo, ukauliza wamalize wapi. The truth is, truly, yani, as in that was a very apt response. Saizi leo, in fact, unajua Kalonzo Mutua na Mudhama huwa wasikizani at all. Sasa leo, in fact, Mudhama ameacha Ruto, amekuja kwa Kalonzo kwa sababu ya kureinforce Kalonzo. Sazile ameona kwamba Mutua wana regroup. Like you clearly explained it, how it's been. Therefore, historical, basically institutional memory is something that is normally important for us to remember our history so that we know where we are headed. As for opposition coming out and different leaders speaking, I think when you're in dirty water, it is you're not concerned about whether you're going to have a swimming costume, whether you're going to walk, whether you're going to clutch on whatever straw. Somehow you're trying to get out of the dirty water. So the process via which you get out of that dirty water is irrelevant. The whole idea is for you to get out of the dirty water and get safely to somewhere where the water is cleaner, or at least get off the water completely. Right now, Kenya is in a very, very murky, dirty, muddy water. So we're trying to get out of it. I do not care who holds the hand of the other to get us out. The clergy that they've come out, why is it that we were comfortable when people were quiet, we were making noise? So people have come out and stated that all of us are in this together and we are voicing our concerns because all of us are in this, and the ship is sinking with all of us together. And as such, we are all having an opinion regarding the same. Why are we looking to make fun of that particular position? I actually think this is a very good time for us to live. Seeing Akina Martha Karua, and especially that I've seen her with faces that I really, although I do not like Nani much, Kivutha Kibwana. Kivutha was the first one to run towards Ruto when Ruto was announced as president. Let him not think we are forgetting. Right now, we're not going to forget about anyone who was in a hurry to go and join Ruto. Now that Ruto appeared not to have had any time or space for them, now they're acting as though they're coming back to Kenyans. We know the opportunities now for who they are. I like the fact that I can see Mukisa Kitui there. I like the fact that I can see Kabando Kabando. It's almost as if there's a formation. Yes, we are regionally forming, but we are forming with faces that somebody can take seriously. So let Akina Kalonzo regroup with whichever people he can regroup with. Let Akina Wamalwa regroup with whoever they are speaking. They are representative of constituencies. Similarly, the same way, how many members of parliament do we have in parliament? Which areas do they all come from? They don't all come from the same place, but they all represent certain demographics. So that is all we want. As for the fact that each one of them is taking their own Gen Zs, by all means, anyone who believes in and understands the ideology of a leader who's been there before, by all means come and link with them. As for the parties that have been there and they have been seen to dazzle with the wrong person, and people are such considering that they have a problem with it, let everybody have their own opinion. Because at the end of the day, we're not a bunch of sheep who have to be told where to go, and we go. We've got brains of our own that we actually go around with. So the fact that there are some leaders who cannot be spoken about on this forum, then by all means, respect everybody else. Respect all the other leaders. They're leaders within their own right. They also similarly represent a demographic who take them seriously and respect them. So allow them to speak when they can speak, especially when they're speaking about the things that are happening to Kenyans, because they're similarly Kenyans. And this guy is thinking a sheep. You know what we don't realize is this shashi thing. When someone goes and dies, this person is dead. It doesn't matter that eventually Ruto will be taken to jail or whatever will be done to him. These families will have lost permanently someone prematurely in a manner that was not correct. When now an education system is messed up, yes, we will eventually get Kenya back. But when we get Kenya back, how old will these children be? What will we have done to them? We cannot give them that back. So the problem we are having with Ruto is not for anything else. It is because the problems is giving Kenya are policy problems, and they're permanent. These are problems that we are going to have to deal with lifelong. Long after he's gone, long after everything of his is recovered and the state has recovered it. Look at what Mali has done. Mali has cleared its debt by taking money from the corrupt individuals and things like that. Kenya will eventually get there. But when it gets there, what will we do with our children whom we have messed up? Our whole generation of children who will be illiterate, whose time has been wasted. What will we do with the people who will be wrongfully in the grave because Ruto was trying to make merchandise out of Kenyans? That is what you were trying to say. So let the leaders who are coming up, let the church who are speaking now, they erred. Even we are told that God forgives us 70 times and every other time. I mean, we are always falling short of God's glory. Why should we find that it is okay for God to forgive us, and yet we find that the church are not allowed to say we are sorry? We erred, and therefore we are seeking a direction, and that direction we should move as Kenyans. Should they pose a question to us? Naturally, it's okay. So this is our position. Kenyans, what do you feel about it? It is fine. This thing of us just speaking for the sake of us speaking and not necessarily deciding that we want to do the right thing and that we want to move as a group of Kenyans ought to stop. We need to come at a space where we're saying we wanted all of us together so that we can take this guy out and get our country back. How we do that is irrelevant for now. The ends justify the means. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Maunga. The end justifies the means. A very serious, whatever philosophy there. But I agree with you. I think where we are right now, we need to buy the wisdom of the 5 lions that have gone to hunt, and maybe the, what is it called? The rhino or the other big animal it's very fierce. So what they do is that they come, but everyone comes from different directions, and then they surround the animal, and then the animal gets overwhelmed. I think we should not shed off our political formation, but each political formation should be strengthened where it is that we all move in the same direction without necessarily demanding that so and so should dissolve this and join this, dissolve this and join this. If all we are seeking is better governance and we have a common enemy, bad governance, led by William Ruto. Let everybody play their role. We shouldn't stop anyone from playing their role in voicing out what they need to voice out and deploying whatever they need to deploy. Eventually, when we get there, everybody's effort will be rewarded or will be acknowledged. But if we go to war, my favorite preacher, R.W. Shambak, of blessed memory, he passed on, I think, was it 2011 or something. He was the man who inspired me into preaching business. He used to say against people who preach against women preachers. Now I know that is a controversial area. He used to say that any army that goes to war and leaves behind half of its membership must not be sure of winning that war. He said, how do we become church and then we take a whole bunch of half of our membership and tell them they can't preach, they can't say this, they can't do this, they can't do this? He used to say that if anything, the women are the ones that led us into this scene. So let them also help us out by being led free to preach. Now, my take on that is right now, let everybody be hands on the deck. Let's win together in letting everybody do what they can do. But stopping this one from doing this, because what I'm experiencing is, even when I go to X spaces and all that, there is a lot of, if you associate with this, I am no longer with you. If you associate with this, I'm no longer with you. If you associate with this, we have parted ways. But in the long run, what we seek, is it our individual satisfaction of our ego, or we really want to liberate this country? Some will just blow the trumpet. Others will light the torch. Others will attack. But everybody has played a role. So I don't see why we should be, writing off this one, dismissing this one, and we all seek the same thing. So I really support the issue that let everybody do their part. Wale wanatubu watubu. Wale wanaitisha nini, and then the church pia inataka nini. What I wanted them to come up with, they should have their own style of protest. They may not call maandamano, but they can call boycott. They can call let's stop using e-citizen. Government ikuje kuchukua pesa kwa mfuko tuone. I mean some sanction, because great revolutions, some of that were led by church. The church was not playing this friendly ball game. We need to be a little biting in terms of our sanction, not just advising and giving kind of counsel. Because the way this government is operating is that it feels above everybody. Okay, now you see now they have reached a place where you preach something against them, they send somebody to warn you. Okay, now if it has reached that unatuma mtu kuja kuonya church leader somewhere for preaching this, for saying this, then it looks like they are untouchable and they don't want anybody to tell them anything. And when that begins to happen, it is now a time for the church to amplify their voice and shout them down, because if they succumb to this, then we are done. I don't know what would be your take on that, Mama Selina.
Nimesikia vile my sister amesema, but again, these people wamekuwa na sisi, makanisa wamekuwa na sisi Kenya, baada ya uchaguzi na kabla ya uchaguzi, na msimamo yao ilionekana wasiwasi na wale watu wanyonge, kwa sababu kuna watu wengi pena wanategemea mabishop, mafathers kwa mababa yao ya kiroho na wanafuata bila hata kufikiria, kwa sababu hawa ndio wamewapepea imani. So mimi ile inanishangaza ni kwamba yes, tunataka kutoa Ruto, na hii watu wakikuja kutuambia kututuliza, because ile kitu inafanya niongee hivyo Maunga ni kwamba they never give us solution. Walituuliza ama wanaupiria wale wanajua wamefanya makosa. So sisi kama wafuasi, sisi kama wa Kenya, hawa ndio walituambia ni Mungu amesema, na walitukanya sana hata kupishana na Mungu, kwa sababu hiyo ndio ilikuwa ni ya Mungu. Na hata mulisikia ule bishop alisema, ule mama. So for me, I don't think watatupatia the right direction. Afadhali sasa ile ulisema kina Mukisha Kitui, kina Kivuta Kibwana alikimbia apatiwe kasi. I think these people Penat ni watu wanajitafutia. Nitaenda mahali Kipa alisema ile fungu la 10 ama munaita nini imepungua. So people are trying to see, unajua kuna wasee nyumbani kwetu Nandi samani walikuwa wanakunywa pombe na wanakaa wanaangalia. Unajua kwa wakale ukiwa na bibi moja huwezi ruhusiwa kukaa huko kwa pombe ile ya nyumbani. Wanasema nduru ikipikwa Bernard wako na bibi moja atakanyaka wasee akanyake nini pombe ianguke. So anaambiwa wewe ya macho moja kaa kwa mlango. In case nduru ipikwe usisumbue wasee. Unajua kwanza msee mwingine anasema hiyo ni nyumba gani? Ni bibi gani hiyo? Sasa yeye hata ana haraka. Kwangu imepikwa nduru, imetokea boma gani, nyumba gani? Lakini hii ya bibi moja akisikia atakanyaka wasee akitoroka akienda kusaidia. So sahi kanisa ni kama hiyo inatuambia nini sasa? Na naona ninaheshima juu naona Reverend Lala kwa hapa atatuambia, because waumini kama kanisa ya Catholic leo wangetoka na kusema we are tired of this, twendeni. Nimesema kina Reverend Njoya ama alikuwa naitwa nani, tulikuwa na fathers watu ya samani, kina Alexander Muke, kulikuwa na watu wengi wa Mungu walikuwa wakionyesha mbango na wanatoka. Hii section hii watu walipigania multiparty Kenya, walikuwa na watu ya kanisa mbele. Nakumbuka nani alichapwa Uhuru Penat mpaka ulifikiria atakufa, but he did something. Hawa sasa wanatuuliza mimi ninasimama hivi, kabla hatujawafuata watangulie. Alafu unauliza raia ama unaambia raia watoto yao wanakuwa wanauawa, and it is true. Na wamekuwa wapi? Haijaanza this week. Watu wamekuwa wakichukuliwa mara mingi, alafu polisi wanasema si. Now serikali ni ya nani Penat? If the government say it is not us, then who? Tuko na serikali ngapi? Ni opposition ni serikali? Ni ama watu ya Uganda wamekuja wakaiba watu yetu, ama ni watu ya Somali? So kama serikali Penat unapatiwa ile nini ya kushika sword ya kwamba nitalinda mwananchi na nchi, alafu unakuja unatuambia si nyinyi ndiye mnachukua hii watu wanachukuliwa. Haya, kanisa pia anakuja anasema tufanye nini? Askari wanasema si. Makanisa wanasema tufanye aje? Sasa wewe Kenya Penat, wewe mwananchi una chochote, utafanya nini? Reverend Lala atatuambia, kwa sababu saa zingine hatutaki kuwa against mambo ya Mungu, lakini hawa mafata na mareverend na bishop ndio wanatupeleka mpaka tunatau sasa hii maneno hata ya
Mother, I get your point, but unajua mahali tumefika ni dhambi ishafanyika, makosa yashafanyika. Kama ni kuanguka, watu washaanguka, watu washakufa. So tunatafuta suluhu na tu wote tuko katika hiyo mtumbu. Okay? So right now if we begin to say hawa ndio walisema, hawa ndio walikosea, hawa ndio walituambia, na meli inaendelea kuzama tutazama wote. Basi tuanze kumwaga maji nje, angalau tutafute vile tunaokoa.
Mungu ama Yesu alisema hata tambi zetu sikiwa nyekundu yes. Kusiosha anaiosha mpaka ikue theluji. Okay, so yes. Kama kanisa wangekuja na kutuambia penat, tumekosa, tumesing, lakini sasa wa Kenya tutoke, utupatie njia. Unajua Yesu alisema kama ilikuwa damu ataibadilisha iwe nyeupe. So the fathers today walituambia tulifanya makosa, tumesing pile unatuambia, now way forward, tutoke tuende kwa barabara. Hapo ndio tunaoswa sasa njia ya kwenda pinguni, ama waende waotoe hii mtu, kwa sababu wanasema wamemuongelesha awasikii. Sivyo wamesema penat. Sasa yes. Kama wasikii vila wamesema na tuambii njia ya kwenda, sasa tutafanya aje? Sisi yote tunasema tufanye nini?
Mimi sitaki kuwa mtetezi wao lakini mimi nasema hivi, kwa sababu wamesoma list ya makosa ambayo serikali imefanya na wanataka serikali ishughulikie hayo maneno. Kwangu mimi labda wamepeana ultimatum, well, they will follow up with the action. Today was giving their stand, and then next will be, if you don't comply with this, then we'll do this and that. And I believe the church can make a statement if they want to, even including occupying the streets. And the Catholic Church is also not a pushover. Wacha zetu za mikebe, hizi zetu za mabati, the government can play with us. Lakini hii ni stakeholder economy. There is a very huge part of the Kenyan economy that is supported by the Catholic Church only. So wakizungumza lazima serikali isikilize. La sivyo, just look at, na kwanza wanadai kwamba NHF hawajalipwa sijui some millions. Yani hizo hospitali za Catholic peke yake ya millions ambazo hazijalipwa na serikali. So kwangu mimi it's a move in the right direction, different from what has been all along. Wamekuwa wakisit on the fence, hawajui kukondem ama waseme nini. Sasa hivi vile wameanza kusema vile wananchi wanasema, I see there is hope in terms of kama kutakuwa na demos, hazitakuwa tupu, kutakuwa na maaskofu ndani, kutakuwa na mapadri ndani, kutakuwa na reverend ndani, na hiyo it will move the world. But hii ilikuanga kama Gen Z peke yao. Ikikuja ni Azimio wanasema ni the Kibera hooligans and the goons from Mathare and all that. Lakini sasa saa hii, kwa sababu kiatu kinafinya kila mtu na kila mtu analia, kukitokea kwamba tujitokeze, I believe we'll have better outcome and nobody should be left behind. But all in all, ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba nchi haiko pazuri, na lazima kila mmoja aseme na ajitolee mhanga kukomboa nchi ili tukafanya maisha ikuwe bora kwa kila Mkenya. All in all, nataka sasa Maunga, if you have any response before we bring Lala.
Let Lala speak and then I'll speak later. Let Lala speak. It's been there.
Okay, thank you. Reverend Lala, take it. It has begun raining. Let me control this.
Bernard, asante. Mama wetu mpendwa, na nimekusalute Maunga. It's good to see all of you. Let me say this. First of all, plus of course those who are in the background, I'm happy to join you. I had a chance for the last 1 month to be in the country. I was 3 weeks. I traveled wide. I was in Nyandarua, okay? And then I was in the Western Kenya, Nairobi area. I crossed over to Uganda. The feel of what's really going on. I'm happy. I attended Wanga's celebration and able to talk to a lot of people in the country. And my sense is that things are not very good, especially the economy. And my prediction is kwamba kuonekana Biden administration had a lot of interest in Ruto. Okay, so they were doing their best to kind of make sure the shilling does not really lose its ground, to kind of prompt up Ruto a little bit. But I just saw it kind of begin to slide right now because there is no big brother, or whatever you want to call him, to stop us from going down. So really, I like Mbadi a lot, okay? He's a great guy, he's a wonderful guy, but I don't think he can save our economy. That's just my feel. And so I don't think things are well. Secondly, the state of insecurity. Insecurity is simply bad. It seems as if things are disintegrating. But a lot of times when you are in the republic, these things happen, and so our conscience are seared, so we don't feel them much. But when you come into the country, then you really notice that is a source of anxiety, insecurity, people disappearing, poisoning of people. I notice a lot of things that are really going on. Third, the health crisis. The new thing, I don't know what the name is, that is replaced what we had before, is not working. And people are literally dying, watu wanakufa, because the system is not working. We really, I would simply say this is a collapsed state. That's there. And so Kenyans need to pray and work hard. And so if the church has stepped forward to point what is wrong, that is great. My problem with the church is that the beginning point, I think it is you, Mama Selena, you stated that, and I think Bernard also alluded to it, and that it must start with repentance. That's where we start with in anything when it comes to the church. They should have acknowledged where they are wrong. So you can't just allow those evil that we created to stay underneath. The first thing, let it go. Say, I'm sorry. We were wrong. This was not right. I remember being chucked out of a meeting because I didn't carry the view they had. God has done it. We fasted, we prayed, and all that stuff, because I said it was wrong. But then I was excused, out of a number of us who love the Lord, and I thought I was connected with my Kenyan brothers and sisters. Apparently, they were not very comfortable with me because they thought I'm not quite a reverend that they would expect, out of me, because I was not supporting Ruto and his team. So I think the church must, first of all, say we are sorry. Then they can move forward and do what they are doing to point out what is wrong. Because I don't think they're monolithic. I think there are different views and different pastors who have different ideas, but some of them simply compromise to move along, and that is not leadership. If you know something is wrong, it's wrong. And so I think let the church repent, and that's a good beginning. And so Right now, what they're doing is almost as if they're following, they're watching the weather and they move by whatever people are going. Instead of being prophetic, instead of being able to tell the people this direction they should go as the Church of Jesus Christ. And so I think we still have a lot of problems. But it's a good beginning to see the Catholic, coming forth and saying what they're saying. But they must start with repentance. And finally, I think there is a problem of trust in the nation. The trust. It's almost as if whatever we had is just disappearing. Okay, the little trust we had in Gen Z, in Baba, in this guy and this person, it seems as if people are just losing it. I don't know whether it's good or bad, but when there is lack of trust, then anarchy is a very logical, thing that will come in the nation, because people are now don't trust anybody. They only trust themselves. So you'll find warlords, appearing to protect themselves because you are not safe, because the police may not protect you. People that you thought may protect you, they won't be there for you. And we see that in terms of those who are looking for jobs. You see people that you thought they were trusted, they're just working, for somebody instead of having this conviction. So there is a lot that is going on. So if those who are prayer point, those who are listening to me, take those as prayer points and ask God to help us to learn to trust again, to learn to repent of sin, to learn to see ourselves as a nation, to learn to work together. Because on the other hand, Kenyans just they love their country. I went to central and to those places. I went to Western Kenya. I had a funeral in Nyandarua, and I had one in Kakamega and Nairobi. Different meetings. So I think Kenyans just want that which is fair. They want to have a good life, a clean life, but they don't know how to. So leadership is needed to help us articulate all these desires that we have, all these goals, aspirations, so that we can be able to come together and say to the world that Kenya is a nation united. But right now, I don't see it based on what I saw. I think there's a lot of desperation, that is out there. The youth is unsettled. The youth is a time bomb still, if not worse. And so things are not good. And lastly, you see, our police in Haiti went there to help Biden win. Because one, you see, the US was supporting Ukraine. A lot of our tax money was going up there. And there are some of us who are asking, why is it Haiti and others are not getting similar attention? And of course, the Biden administration came with this idea that let a Kenyan and African government lead over there, because the US did not want to appear in Haiti, because if they see an American shot, that meant that Biden could not run, because they don't want to see their soldiers, Americans, in the harm's way. So Kenya was a convenient way for them to win an election. Now we are in trouble because Trump will not support them. We are stuck there. The logistics of taking them home, I don't think that another country was ready to burden that UN, because this was an American initiative. So we are stuck in Haiti. Okay, we are stuck. Taxpayers, Kenyan taxpayers, will probably have to go in, because I don't think past January, when Trump takes over the office, there'll be funding for Kenya, in Haiti. It's a lot of money. So and remember, the money is not given in the front; it's given as as you do the job. It's nothing like we are given money. You are just promised the money, but the money is not there. So Kenya, we are stuck with our people, in Haiti. And again, if you have been watching what's going on in Haiti, Barbecue and others are really growing wings, and they are questioning what Kenyans are doing there. It's becoming more dangerous for our young men and women. So we gotta take them out. The U.S. that was providing the cover for them in every way possible are not going to do it. So that's where we are at the state of a nation, at the state of of our nation at this moment. So I just want to say those and wait. I don't want to keep on talking while others need to talk. Thanks, Bernard.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Lala, for that outlook and, of course, overview in all aspects. But on the issue of Haiti, before we let you go, so you are saying Kenya needs to pull out. America will not facilitate their pulling out. What's going to happen? Unmute, Lala.
Right now, there's a psychological advantage, or it's on the side of Barbecue and the rest. Okay, so they have to either negotiate with them somehow. They have to bring in the warlords in there so that the Kenyans can get an easy, passage out. Because I don't see any way forward for Kenyans to stay there. So that was not a UN thing; it was a US thing. It's just the US had the money to support, some logistics there that only them could do, the US could do, but hakuna kitu tunaweza tukafanya. We don't have the money, we don't have the defenses that can keep us from the harm of the firepower is with those guys. They have modern equipment that police don't even have. Yes, we have some of those wonderful ones. I saw them, some because of the courtesy of course, the US. But I don't think we are a match to Barbecue and this team when it comes to if the US does not support us. So we have to get out, and we get out quickly. Yeah.
So you are suggesting that the coming out of Haiti needs to be hastened before Biden hands over office?
You see, they have to, because you see, the people from Haiti believe that it was the US that was fronting Kenyan. That was Biden. So Biden is gone. So who is there now to protect this Kenyan? Because they knew they were fighting against the US, not against Kenya. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yes, Maunga, now you can come in.
Yeah, like the thing Lala is talking about, it's just I think attached to exactly what it's more or less riding on what I was talking about. When we talk about life, when we talk about death, these are permanent things. You take innocent Kenyans to a place like Haiti where we have absolutely no interests, and it adds absolutely no value to us to lose our uniformed men there because you're thinking that you're selling them like merchandise. Okay, I've just been wondering, honestly, what did we do to God, honestly, to deserve Ruto? When we talk about church and that church was involved, Bernard, I've told you here severally, this whole Ruto thing made me know who are the real servants of God and who are not, because ideally, discerning spirit is something that anybody needs to have, at least as a basic, when you're in service, when you've been called by God, na si ati umejiita. So unless you called yourself, when God calls you, discerning spirit is one of those gifts that he gives you as a tool of trade. So by the time those guys did not have it, anyone who supported Ruto, I don't care who you are, I don't care how colored you are, I don't care how long you served. I know for a fact, even if God used to use you, alikuacha kitambo. That went for me without saying. Of course, right now there's been a confirmation, but even that time, Bernard, you've been on this platform shouting your voice hoarse. So has Lala been, and Akina Father Darius. Now, those are people who I know are after God's heart, and God is speaking to them, and they're in service to God because they know that they will be judged by their spirits, by their fruits. By their fruits, we will know them. So if at all your fruit was Ruto, honestly speaking, what was that Ruto had as a basic that you would say, yes, tumesikia walipitia kanisani, hawakutokea kanisani. But if indeed alipitia kwako, amepitia kwako, it is said that mtu atapitia kwa moto na haitamuunguza, it will refine you. So kama alipitia kwako na akatokea akiwa shetani jinsi alivyo, inaonyesha kwamba wewe makali yako ni gani. So already the clergy we speak about that was endorsing Ruto, those people are not supposed to be called clergy. Those are dealers. They are literally just people who are in business, shop owners that they have put crosses there, and we know for a fact that those are not people who are in service to God. So that was confirmed then. It is now being confirmed now to anyone who had a doubt. But you know, we do not serve a God. By the time God has done something, the kind of things He's done in our lives, He has done those things because we know His capability and His capacity. We did not need the likes of Akina Ruto to come to confirm to us that our God can be that confused. Anybody who's getting that confirmation right now that Ruto was wrong, obviously should find another business to do, and theirs should not be wearing a collar and anything like that. Watangukia hapo makanisani wakifa. Yule mama ambaye alikuwa kiomba alafu akaomba kwamba Kenya kuisha. That lady was in the spirit. She was just in the wrong location. Na Mungu akamtumia kumnenea. So by the time she was still gallivanting with them over there, you could tell, how is it that we serve the kind of a God? Because some of us have tasted of this God, and we have tasted of his doings, and we know that we know His power, we know His real, we know how our God works. How is it that Mungu wetu amekuwa tu kitu anachezewa ovyo ovyo na kina Ruto? Mungu anoe makali. By the way, mi kile nataka Ruto vile anakufa asikufe ati kifo ya ghafla, awe kwamba anatokewa na worms kwa mwili akiona hivi. Yani aishi akijua kwamba huyu Mungu ukimchezea anaweza kukufanya madhara na kufanya madharau. Let your wisdom be your foolishness, such as the one He has intended. So by the time we're talking about church, let us not talk about the kind of church some of us, especially hapa Sound Candid Talk, ile tunajua. The reverends who are seated here, and those perhaps in the comment section, who have known the God that we serve, who are against Ruto from the Govt because he looked nothing like the God that we know. Those ones should not even link themselves with the church. Those people who supported Ruto are not church. They have no business being called that. They are business people who had a cross in their premises, and Ruto occupied those, akaja akawahada watu hivyo hivyo. Lakini kwa ukweli ule kusema ule ukweli, me, the churches that I know that I serve under, those ones know the God, the true God who told us that we are going to know them by their fruits, and Ruto was not a fruit of God. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Maunga, on that. And that sense of responsibility, before to let mama, and the sense of responsibility that one needs to feel when they are making a decision. You know, it's easier to make my personal decision about me that affects me only. But now, if my decision is going to affect my family, affect my community, affect my nation, then that decision should not be made carelessly. And that's what I want us to seriously consider, because one of the things that makes church people fall for these handouts until they get blinded from what God is saying, is that aspect of failing to have that sense of responsibility. Na kabla nianze kusimama kusema Mungu amesema ni huyu, okay? Am I responsible enough to stand by that to the end? And if that direction I'm pointing to lands the country in trouble, am I in a position to own that trouble? Because you see now what's happening. Everybody's now denying Ruto, okay, including those that fought for him. Why? The time they were making the decision, they never thought that it was a serious issue. When we were telling them this direction is not okay, they only thought of what? Huyu ni mwizi wetu, hata ni mwizi mzuri kwa sababu anaibanga akituletea. Hao wengine wanaiba wakikula peke yao. And that shallow, emotional, quick decision has now landed us in a hole that it will take ages to get out. And what makes matters worse is that Ruto keeps digging that hole again and again every morning. No matter the scream, no matter the shouts, no matter the standing in the way to stop him, he still believes that digging deeper into that hole will make him what he requires to be. And so I really want to appeal to every one of us that we should consider seriously when you are making national decisions. Decisions that are going to affect our children and our children's children should not be taken lightly. Let's not play games with that. Decisions that are going, huyu mtu ndiye atakuwa na sign pesa zile zinatumika. Huyu mtu ndiye atasimamia masomo yetu. Huyu mtu ndiye atasimamia afya yetu. For the next 5 years, huyu mtu ndiye ataamua Wakenya watakulaje, Wakenya watalalaje, Wakenya watatibiwaje, Wakenya watasomaje. Is he capable of doing that rightly? Now, most of us don't think that way. Tunafikirianga tu yellow, orange, green, black. We get limited into the party slogan that we don't think practically and ask these serious questions. And in the process, we always land to the wrong person. So I pray that we will wake up and begin to think seriously. And as the church begins to get their ears back and their sense of responsibility back, I would that the church should lead this aspect of helping the Kenyans to think deeply on the issue of making decisions that will impact them and many generations thereafter. You see the regrouping of political formations right now is still going back to that tribal arrangement. Okay, we see that Kalonzo is cutting deal to work with Gachagua, and because Gachagua may have a sizable constituency of the mountain, combining with Kalonzo, they may just become the leaders. And I have serious problem with that, that if all we consider is the blocks and not the capacity of the person we are putting in office, the seriousness of the person we are putting in office, the qualities of the person we are putting in office, we forget all that. Tumechukua block moja, tukaongeza block ingine, sisi tuende. And we call it tyranny of numbers. We call it all you need is numbers to win. It is not numbers. It is these numbers. What are they giving us? Putting together numbers is easy. But what is the product of these numbers? Somebody invited me for a program. I'll be doing a video on the same of the Luya consciousness. Okay, there's somebody who has begun a movement that is going around that he wants to bring all the lawyers together so that the lawyers can vote together as a bloc. We have the numbers. We should have a stake in the leadership of this country. I could not even respond to that kind of a message because that one is not me. Okay, I'm a lawyer, yes. That is all. But when it comes to matters, decisions, I don't want lawyers to vote together as a bloc. I don't want that. I want each one to be responsible for the decision they made. That tulitoka asubuhi, tutaamka mapema tuende kuchagua Ruto. Nataka uamuke wewe mwenyewe uende kumchagua. Na ukishamchagua, yale matatizo ataleta, pia uyakubali kwamba ni wewe uliamua. Si ati Waluya waliamua, ni wewe uliamua as an individual. If we get serious about this, I'm sure we will get better leaders at all levels. Lakini tukiendelea to put together these numbers, I'm going to get this, we are messing big time. And so church people needs to be free and be able to tell their congregants this reality. Usitoke uende kupiga kura kwa sababu ya kabila yako, kwa sababu ya region yako, kwa sababu ya mtu wako. Chagua uongozi ambao utasaidia nchi ya Kenya, na hiyo nchi itaboreka kwa sababu wewe umefanya uamuzi ambao ni bora. Asante sana. Na masandio haya yanaendelea kukatika. Naomba tafadhali, kama unaingia studio umechelewa, karibu ukaseme ya kwako. Tutarudi kwa Mama Selina kama bado uko, alafu tuanze kufungasha. Okay, inaonekana mama ametoka. Back to Reverend Lala. Looking at generally at leadership, especially now that we are talking of the bishops and they are voicing out about the problems in the country. Where they have come very strongly is this issue of abductions and the killings, especially for our ladies. You as a church minister and a government officer to some degree, how do we go about holding the government to account on these issues? Because the abduction, you cannot tell us. It really annoys me when I hear that the police said we are not the ones abducting. Hakuna statement inaniudhi kama hiyo, kwa sababu, I mean, who is in charge of the security of the country? Is it not the police? So if there is another group that is abducting people, and then you tell us we are not the ones, what do you mean?
Bernard, wajua inaonekana sisi sio one nation anymore. You know, we talk about process leadership. Process leadership as the idea that we are all held up together. If we target the tail, we know the tail has something to do with the head. So everything has to be tied together. Lakini mambo vile vinaonekana ni kwamba we are not nchi moja anymore. No one wants to take responsibility. Unaona, somebody is given a docket like security, but when things happen, they blame somebody else, or they feel that's not their responsibility. And the same as Ruto, I don't know whether it takes the full responsibility for what is going on wrong in the nation. Okay, so it's as if we are not together as a nation. And when we are not together as a nation, each part of the country respond differently based on their own way of interpreting things. They don't see the holistic, the whole picture that we are all in this together. Everyone is doing their own thing. And that is a danger to all of us, because it is hard to be safe, especially the abduction, because these are things we see. How about those we don't see? I'm a minister and I'm a counselor. Let's say things that our women gonna go through. You see, a woman, life is sense of self. That is the her basically her motherhood. Those that go with it. She feels like she has that control over that. But when people violate that, and so we have them in counseling, things that have happened to them in the dark of the night because there's no security, and it is hard. It is hard, and it's happening. I get information of people that have been violated, girls that have been violated by these people, and they don't talk about it. What we see are the abduction. So things are not right. They are not. So it is our responsibility as Kenyans to remember that we are Kenyans, that we must be responsible. You see, when people are simply looking for jobs, they're looking for money, and again, religion has become kama potea pata. It's like betting with God. They who say anything and and expect people to believe you, or it happens, then you say, I'm a man of God. All these predictions that are going on in the name of God. Isn't New Chawi too? God is not in most of them, probably less than 10, 20%. All these are just people's feelings and emotion and putting the name of God there. So Maunga, I'm with you 100%. Sometimes we use the name of God. And let me say this. I'm a little older than most of you. But I remember in the 70s and the 80s, okay, we didn't have a lot of prophets. There were very few, okay? It doesn't mean there was no prophetic messages were there, but there were very few. And then all of a sudden you begin to see a lot of prophets coming to the scene. Then you start asking why? Why are they not comfortable with a title like a pastor or an evangelist or whatever? Why do they want to be apostles, be prophets? And I thought about it. And when you look deeply, it is, you see, when you're a prophet, it means it's you and God. Nobody can question what you say or your decision because it is you and God. Okay? And you, in other words, who are you to judge me? So it is more of a hierarchy that you want to have closer to God so that you can lord it over other people. Okay. So the motive behind all these many prophets all over Africa, and the more the number grows, the less we have of witch doctors and others, because the witch doctors have been very rich. They're benefiting. Now we have prophets that are there. So it's almost like we have replaced, it's an embarrassment to the church. Okay? So we are confusing believers when actually God is caring and loving and want us to be secure and safe and all that. Yet we are a point of insecurity even as the church, because the church is supposed to be at the top. We are the one to hold things together. We are the one to give people reason for living, to give you a purpose for why we are here, to be able to help us hold on together. And when all we want to do is to preach or do something to get monetary benefits or to have a higher table to sit out there, then we forget, and then we become the problem itself. You're the one creating all these things that Bernard you're talking about, insecurity. And when you don't have security, you're not a nation anymore. You're not. A lot of foreigners right now, when they come, especially those working the UN and the embassies and others, number one is security. Number one, they are not safe. They don't believe the government can keep them safe, so they have to invest a lot in their security. And for us as Kenyans, you know exactly what it is. I sleep in Kenya. At night, I gotta have a weapon. Okay, I gotta keep a weapon because I don't know what's gonna come in the night, and it's not right. When I was young in Mombasa, we used to sleep with the doors open outside because it's hot, and people were fine. What is happening to us? And it is poor leadership. Of course, the politics plays a bigger role, but the church is just there with it because we merge the two together in a very unholy kind of matrimony that created Ruto and the rest. So here, the things that should be able to help us, give us direction, they are not there anymore. So we need paradigm shift in the way of thinking. Big stop there. Back to you, Bernard.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Lala. The call is clear. Everybody needs to own up, and thereafter we must take responsibility of securing our country. I don't think there is anything William Ruto can do to help this country. And so the earlier we give up on him and begin to do what we must do to save our country, the better. Because after 2 years, bado anatafuta bearing, huyu waelewe kile kinaendelea. Kwa hivyo wote ambao wanajifunza waelewe kwamba hapa kumeharibika, tukarejee katika kurekebisha yote ambayo yamekwenda mrama. We need to occupy. That occupation is take charge of your space, play your role, raise your alarm, educate somebody, enlighten somebody. I was speaking with someone today and said to help this country, it will not just be by political change or political attacks and political malignings. It will just take people taking responsibility. If we shared this country into 4 segments, north, east, west, north, and whatever, north, south, east, west, and of course, central, we would do a marvelous job in ensuring that the country develops and the country becomes fit for all Kenyans. But some of us, we are caught up into the aspect of the political confusion until we can't even do the obvious common thing. The famous phrase by Mother Teresa, the world will be clean if everybody swept their doorstep. When we are jumping on the dirt at our doorstep to go and clean the field in our neighbor's compound. In the process, the sting that is entering our house cannot stop. The stench that is entering our house cannot stop because we are attacking the field of our neighbor. So let everybody sweep their doorstep. Let everybody do their in a small way or big way. Tafuta mtu umfundishe, tafuta mtu umwelimishe, tafuta mtu anze mapema. Tusingoje 2027, 2026 tunaanza kuongea maneno ya civic education. From wherever you are, both in the diaspora and at home. Ukipiga simu, elewesha watu. Kwa nini economy iko mbaya? Kwa nini serikali inafanya hii na hii? Let people understand so that when the politicians begin to move, wakisema Waluya wako targeted, Wasomali wako targeted, Wakikuyu are targeted and all that, that will have no effect because watu wako na ufahamu kwamba it doesn't matter who is the president. Everybody suffers if that man is incompetent, irresponsible, and careless. So the only way to fix is don't allow an incompetent person into leadership. Don't allow somebody with questionable character into leadership. If we did this campaign and got everybody to understand, we will not worry about what Kenyans will decide at the ballot. And thereafter, of course, we need to bring about proper constituting of the IEBC, of which it will take divine intervention if we'll get rightful people there, taking charge of our elections, deciding the leaders. Now, that's another thing. In Kenya, we vote, but our voting does not decide. How do we deal with that? That's a matter that even the church needs to come up and say, why do we go to vote and the vote doesn't give us the leaders that we voted for? That should not be, by the way, it's a serious matter, because hiyo ndio kichungi ya kuchunga hawa viongozi. Kama hicho kichungi sasa kisababishi uongozi, ile majani imebaki juu, hiyo ndio tunaingiza kwa ofisi. Ile safi ambayo imetoka, we throw it aside. Why? So naomba tu tupevuke kama Wakenya na tuhakikishe kwamba aturudi nyuma ikifika kwa swala la viwango ambavyo tunaweka kwa ofisi, the standards of the people that we put in public office. Compromising those standards is putting the whole country at risk. We can't allow that. And that should go to the judiciary. It should go to the IEBC. It should go to all people that are involved into the decision of who becomes a leader. The moment you compromise, somebody asked a question, wewe mwalimu ambaye unaibia mtoto mtihani, okay? Huyo mtoto akiendelea na masomo, baada ya miaka 10, wewe ukuwe mgonjwa, umebebwa, unapelekwa Nairobi Hospital. Kufika hiyo Nairobi Hospital, yule daktari anayekuja kuhudumia ndio yule mwanafunzi uliibia mtihani. Utakubali akutibu? So by the time you're compromising the standards, you're creating a problem and sending it into the future. That problem will catch up with you. So kina Chebukati wale walichukua pesa, wakachukua nini? Okome, wakachukua pesa wakatuletea huu mzigo. Sasa angalia vile nchi inaharibika. Are they at peace? Are they happy that they did what they did? We don't become better by compromising standards. We only become better by insisting on right standards and insisting on the right way things ought to be done. And so I encourage every one of us, let's not relent. Let's not look back. We have to get Kenya fixed, and we must begin by insisting all the people with questionable characters should be kept out of public office. The public good demands that the very best is the one we put in office. Serving the tables, I use the Bible example. Serving the tables. When it came to serving the tables in Acts chapter 6, they did not say, look for any idle man there and give them the responsibility to serve the widows. He said, look among you, men full of integrity, men full of Holy Ghost, men full of excellence. Okay? Give them this responsibility. Now, when it comes to running the affairs of the country, you tell us, pick whoever has the money. Keep the one that comes from our village. Keep the one that is tall. Keep the one that is short. No. We should insist they should be men of integrity, men of excellence, men full of Holy Ghost, men full of wisdom. Then we give them responsibility to take care of others. You don't take care of others simply because you're available. You should be able to take care of others because you meet the requirement of people that are able to take care of others. So I will give Reverend Lala the last word as we close. Thank you so much for being part and parcel of the conversation. Please keep the conversation going. Tumia mtu ujumbe umwelekeze. Kama waja subscribe hapa wasaidie wa subscribe. Kama wajatufuata watufuate. Let's all play our role. Let's make Kenya great. Thank you. Reverend Lala. Lala, your last word. Ama tuende.
Give me a second. 1 second, I'll be with you.
Okay, thank you. Now, let me play this video in the meantime, but if you have not subscribed, subscribe. If you have not followed us, please follow us and make sure that you are resident here. This is where Kenyans meet every night to discuss their issues in their own language, in their own words. And everyone needs to have that understanding and appreciate it. Thank you.
At the same time, President William Ruto's cabinet has gone on the defensive following scathing criticism of the government's performance in addressing the issues that matter to Kenyans. Hours after the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops accused his administration of perpetuating a culture of lies in matters such as settling debt owed to hospitals run by a faith-based organization, the government stated that 5 billion shillings had been paid out to hospital in the last month. And amid headlines of massive layoffs due to the high cost of doing business locally, the cabinet says 100,000 Kenyans have secured jobs abroad.
Reeling from a blow dealt by the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops on the executive and parliament's performance in addressing issues that matter to Kenyans, Thursday's cabinet dispatch was used to paint a picture of economic turnaround under the Kenya Kwanza administration. The cabinet, relying on various economic indicators such as inflation, which last month was at 2.7%, the lowest rate cabinet stated since 2007. Cabinet listing the subsidized fertilizer program as another success, which they stated would not see sugar imported this year. The exchange rate was included as another indicator of Kenya's positive economic outlook. The Kenya shilling trading at an average of 129 shillings to the dollar. Despite Cabinet's best efforts to paint a rosy picture, its message does not resonate with that of David Ndii, economic advisor to the president. In response to mass layoffs, he posted on his social media, "Things will get worse before they get better." And even as Cabinet boasted of tax collections growing by double digits, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary advised caution in consonance with the church's statement on the same. Olive Burrows, Citizen TV.
Haya mambo ni kama hayo, serikali ya William Ruto. Maaskofu wameuliza maswali au wanaita press conference kujitetea. Kama kweli wanafanya kazi na wanasaidia Wakenya, Wakenya wahitaji kuelezewa, wanataka kufeel hela iko kwa mfuko, wanaweza kujilipia chochote kile wanatamani. Reverend Lala.
Bernard, I'm still going to nizungumze juu ya serikali yetu ya Marekani. I think the artificial control of monetary, especially the value of pesa yetu ya Kenya, I think it was strategically done by the Biden administration. Especially when Ruto was getting slapped everywhere, they had to stand behind him to show that he is capable of doing, saving this economy, because he's supposed to be a member of the NATO guy, so he had to be the poster boy for the Western powers. I think with the Trump getting into power, I don't think that exists anymore. I think that artificial, because a lot of times it's about trade. People perceive there is funds coming from the US, they're behind it. So somehow they want to hold on to the dollar. They want to hold on to Kenyan, investment, because they know good things are coming. But right now they are not coming. We don't have that big boy to kind of help keep that shilling from sliding. So we are back on the drawing board, and now Ruto is more exposed. So Kenyans will have to really think hard and do things faster, because if we don't do it faster and stop the bleeding, we may come to a spot where everything just going to go down and collapse completely. And so I think it's the time for us to step forward. And in fact, we need you guys on this channel and just talking, start strategizing ways to kind of save our economy, because we just watch the next few weeks, things are not going to get any better. It's not because they are not trying, Badis and the rest are not trying. It's because the Titanic is going down, and there's nowhere you can repair it inside the stormy sea. It's not possible. So that's where we are. And I think we should open our eyes. We should not be like ostriches putting our heads down, and we should not be like Ruto, because there are some of us who are like some members of the church, Potea Patak type of mentality. We are only excited when something happens, and when they are not, some of them us not even here to talk and discuss these things. This is the time for us to step forward so that we can be able to save our nation. This is time for us to define ourselves as patriots, as those who are here for this nation, or else we are just like them. They go with the wind. So that's those are my last words, Bernard. It's economically going to be very difficult, and also socially things are not going to get better. Division, of course, in the politics and all the schemes and different grouping here and there. It's very sad, because this is not the right time to do that, because this is a time for development, not politicking. But look at the way they are behaving. So they don't really have much in terms of what can save our economy and our social fabric as a nation. So let us pray for the nation. Let us stand and call evil evil. Welcome the Catholic and others that are beginning to do something, but let that repentance come. Let that acknowledgement come first, especially among our evangelical group that were into this Potea Pata thing. It's as if God ni mtu wa kumwambia kuweka something in and then analeta something on the other end. You know, God wants us to be consistent. He wants us to work hard. He wants us to love justice and mercy. He wants us to hold ourselves, you know, speak the truth, walk with each other in humility. That's what God wants. Not easy Potea Pata, so prophecies out there. And I love prophecy. I'm a student of prophecy, but the way it's being used is wrong. It's not right. Predicting who's going to be this, going to be that. That's on Uganga too. You know, so let's really go back to the Bible and let's look at what it says and how we have to walk humbly with our God, and let's see what God can do for a nation that inamcha Mungu, and let's see what can become of our nation, or else we keep on sliding, because we have a form of godliness. That's what we have. But really the conviction and standing when it's hot, and people like Bernard coming out here to tell us the truth. That's what faith is all about. It's not that private thing we do out there. Those are great, but they don't really define, you know, us as the people of God. Thank you, Bernard. I'll give my dues soon to trying to clear some of my stuff. It's the Kenyans who did mess me up, you know. Same Kenyans, we need to pray for them. They don't wreck banks, you know, and they are our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Lala. We appreciate that, and we pray the turnaround will be soon. But let's shoulder responsibility as a people. I encourage everybody, please don't be silent when you are required to speak up, and don't go slow when you're required to go faster, but just move, make sure that you're doing the right thing. Move away from ordinary cheap gossip, hate movement. Let's focus on making things happen for the good of our country. Cheap hatred, cheap discussing of people, and you know, getting caught up into the politics that have no means, that has no better end, is uncalled for. To me, I want to engage myself in something that has an outcome that is going to impact the nation positively and for a lifetime, not just you know, casual satisfaction of the ego and satisfaction of the religious conscience that at least I did something. Let's engage in serious civic education, enlighten our mamas in the village, enlighten our fathers in the village, our brothers, our sisters. We are in to make sure that this country works This country will work, but we have to work it for it to work. All the same, thank you very much. As we continue to engage, please don't give up. I want to call it a day as we have always promised, but we'll be here. By the way, we'll be starting an early show in Swahili. Wale ambao mlisema mnataka show kwa Kiswahili, tunaanza show ya Kiswahili hiyo kesho Ijumaa. Itakuwa inakuja mapema saa 2 mpaka saa 4, alafu tunaanza hii yetu ya usiku saa 5 tukisonga mbele. Kwa hivyo wale wote wa Kiswahili, haya, hakikisha unawahi. Utakuwa na host, atakuwa Kibali na mimi nitakuwa. So wale wote ambao hawajui Kiswahili pia mkuje kujifunza. Tutakuwa hapa. Show ya Kiswahili inaanza hiyo kesho Ijumaa, na itakuwa kila siku saa 2 usiku hadi saa 4 usiku, alafu kisha baada ya hapo ndio tunaanza hii yetu ya changanya. Lakini Kenya lazima ikombolewe, Ruto atimuliwe, inji ipone. Asanteni. Tukutane tutakapokutana. God bless you.
And I am not going to mince my words. The truth of the matter is the world needs Africa. Africa does not need the world. We have everything we need on earth. We could paralyze the world economies. Take a simple thing. Like we decide DRC can no longer export its coltan. That alone can paralyze the world.
Watch, share, like, subscribe.